Hey, welcome to 2 Cents episode 96. It is May 21st, 2017, and this is a live undoctored news show we do at Dollar Reviews. We cover tech, TV, movies, streaming, VR, sometimes video games, and that's happened in the week that isn't politics related, unless you count our couple of weeks when President Trump entered office. We pretty much talk about it, or at least the things that I thought were most notable. This is essentially a Twitter feed that is condensed and you can listen to instead of having to read across the span of an entire week, and it's all done in less than 2 hours almost every single time, except the one or two times we won't talk about. I'm Brian Gillis. You can follow along on Twitter at Dollar Reviews. If you actually want to find me specifically, you can do Brian Gillis, and it's harder than it sounds. It's BRYONGILLIS. And I could be doing a lot of things right now, most notably watching the Twin Peaks premiere, watching the 5th episode of Silicon Valley, or perhaps even beginning the Injustice 2 story mode since I picked up that game today. But instead, I'm recording this podcast for you, but not for much longer, and we'll be talking about that in a second. But I'm not here alone. I'm here with Stephen Mominek. Say hi.
Hi. Just holding on to the last bits I can right now. This is the not at all an ideal circumstance to record, but we're pulling through it. No. It's happened before.
Yeah, it's happened many times.
Yeah, freaking... Just, it really is, it's the stupidest thing. Just, basically we've had a lot of rain here, and so what happened was that my power went out, and right when it went back on, my modem is just not working, which is really annoying. I can see the green power light on right now, and that's all it does. It won't even reset, so I got someone looking at that tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get internet back, but yeah, right now it just sucks. I've had no internet for 2 days now, and it's really sucked.
Good thing we got smartphones.
Yep. Even then, though, that's eating through all my data, so I can't use all of it.
It's of note that we do this show ad hoc. I'm in LA, Steve is in Austin, Texas, and yet we always do it over the internet. We generally use Skype because, hey, it's the norm. We're over the phone today. Like I said, we've done this a good couple of times. Mm-hmm. I think the most notable one being the Down with the Sickness episode. It was like 38 or something like that.
So let's just make sure that we got our cords plugged in case there's another power outage so we don't lose the episode this time.
Not happened to me, at least on my end.
Yeah.
As I said, this is episode 96, and we kind of talked about it on air and also kind of off air over the last couple of episodes. But now it's 100% official. There's only going to be 4 more episodes left of 2 Cents. We're going to end exactly, based on Steve's math, 2 years from the weekend that we began it. When we get to episode 100, we're going to have a big blowout. I haven't talked to the people. I'm reached out to them. But as like a fun thing, I think for the next couple of weeks, I'd like to get all of the people I've ever been on 2 Cents to come on again, just to have like a farewell.
Yeah.
Because
that'd be
Sunday...
really cool.
Recording Sunday nights isn't the biggest deal. I have a short day at work. But in terms of just leisure, it kind of sucks when I tell people, like, oh, yeah, no, Sundays are my big work day. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm like, okay, well, I go to work for 6 hours. Then I get home and I eat. And then I record a podcast for like 4 hours. And then I edit it and I publish it. And then I put it on the internet. And then I go to sleep till like 3 a.m. Like, I had a couple people ask me last Monday, like, why did you wake up at 1 p.m.? I'm like, I'm sorry, I worked for like 12 hours Sunday night. What did you do?
See, for me, it's completely different because I'm 2 hours ahead of you, so I lose that time. But then I also have Monday mornings where I work, so I feel them every single time. You can literally hear me feeling them. And not that I'm complaining. It's like, hey, there are good days, there's good episodes, and then there's just days where you can hear it, and I'm just not there as much as I want to be. And then Brian's just putting all this energy into the notes and everything, and I'm just struggling to stay awake, and I feel so bad when it happens. But yeah, it's a chore, and then it has its graces at the same time. But
it's been real. It's been real fun. I don't want to wax poetic because that's why we got 4 more weeks for.
Yeah.
But essentially there is no natural closure to reporting the news. I don't know how CNN and like Fox News and shit, and condolences to Roger Ailes, even if he was a pervert, sexual harasser, or whatever. he reinvented 24-hour news, and without people like him, this show probably wouldn't exist, even if he's not one of my idols. But there is no natural closure. There is no way to finalize a podcast, especially one that strictly deals on the news. So I haven't figured out that
is coming.
Yeah, so I haven't figured out the next step in 2 cents. It's most likely gonna become just a news bulletin that you can read. I'm probably going to publish my notes maybe behind a pay window, which I already currently do on Patreon. We have our one supporter currently, Evelyn, who backs us with $5 a month, and you can see what kind of perks we get. What she gets are the notes for the show. She also gets exclusive content. She has a window to talk to us directly, but everyone else does, even if you want to. Patreon.com/dollarviews is where you can see that stuff. But it's of note, I think it's going to be the weekend that we end this. I might take a sabbatical because they're playing RoboCop and Starship Troopers in a 35mm double feature at the New Beverly. I'm not missing that.
No,
I'm
don't.
sorry. A podcast can wait, and that's something that I really haven't done for almost 2 years now with this thing. It's very, very, very.
It's one day only for that one.
One day.
Wow.
So it's been a long ride. I'm not sure exactly what my Sunday nights are going to be like. But like I said, I'm probably not going to do nothing with that time. I'm most likely going to jump into this season of Game of Thrones when that starts. Like I said, the TV that I've been neglecting, I can actually catch up on. And then I can actually see people on Sundays instead of going, no, I got a fucking podcast. Come on, don't forget these things. So yeah.
Yeah, there was a goodbye party for someone tonight, but I'm not there. I'm here, so
see,
kind of on the same boat.
We'll be talking about what we're doing in the future, and you can follow along because we're all over the internet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, Tumblr. If you search for Dollar Views, you're gonna find us. No space between the names. Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud. Those are just some of the places where we host our content, so you can listen to us without having to go to our domain directly. And that, in case I didn't say it, or if I only said it once, you didn't catch it, is dollarviews.net. So to follow up on some news stories that we talked about either this past week or the week before that, this is our follow-up segment, and we're going to start exactly with where we began last week. I was talking about French Crybabies. So this is French Crybabies Revisited. As you should be aware, well, maybe if you're listening to this down the road, Cannes is happening right now. The biggest film festival in the world is happening. It's having its 7th anniversary, and one of the biggest films at the festival that's running for the Palme d'Or is a Netflix feature. It is directed by Bong Joon-ho. It's called Okja, and it's getting really good reviews. But just to put in perspective how much a bunch of assholes, not just the Cannes filmgoers are, but also the critics that are there, despite them going, oh, fuck Netflix. Okja had its technical difficulties at its press screening. Apparently, it was being shown in the wrong aspect ratio. There was some problems with dialogue. I'm not sure exactly. And these bitches, literally people are seeing films that are highly acclaimed by very successful filmmakers for the first time on the planet, didn't just boo the movie, but began hissing and stomping their feet. And then, coincidentally, when the Netflix logo came on, we're doing raspberries and stuff because they have almost no decorum. I can't imagine what it would.
At Cannes. It's infamous for
sure.
that. It happens all the time.
But this is literally in the first 5 minutes because, hey, the projectionist fucked up. That's something that happens. This every film isn't Academy ratio. Not everything has already been blocked out.
For a major festival, though, those things shouldn't be happening.
It shouldn't happen, exactly.
Granted, the reaction is
It's worth noting that when they did the actual premiere, there were no such problems. This was strictly the press screening. This is for the people before the fans that are seeing it, and they just can't act civilized.
They're a vicious bunch. They can't do that.
I guess so.
I don't know why.
Fucking assholes. It's stuff like this. When these stories come out,
seem to exist anymore anywhere else. It sucks.
We'll be talking about that in the headlines. It is a real thing. There's a funny thing to note, too, because stemming off of the actual news story from last week, when we're talking about how, from now on, starting next year, something needs a theatrical run in France to be eligible to be presented during Cannes. The grand jury this year consists of lots of acclaimed people: Jessica Chastain, Pedro Almodovar, Will Smith. And the press ran away with this thing. Almodovar is 100%, I don't like Netflix, it is bad, it is ruining cinema. And then Will Smith, who notably is starring in Bright.
For Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest Netflix movie yet. Well, unless you count The Meyerowitz Chronicles and Okja. But from just a pure technical standpoint and budget standpoint, is by far the biggest Netflix ever. People should say that now. It's the Netflix. I'm gonna coin that. It's a Netflix, not a Netflix movie. Netflix. They were clashing heads, and Will Smith had this whole thing to say about in my house. They go to the movies like maybe once, twice, 3 times a week, but when they're at home, they watch Netflix all the time. I'm like, yeah, no shit, dude. They probably paid you to say that. They probably bought your tux for con. Like, how happy it's not good enough that they have 2 movies presented in the festival, but also they're buying things, setting up deals. But then their golden boy for this year anyway is also wearing a tux. Like, it doesn't get better than that.
He's not gonna down talk them at all because
of course
he'd
not.
be stupid too.
And I also totally buy that his family, maybe not Jada, but definitely Willow and Jaden Smith, 100% watch Netflix. Like, I think Jaden's like 18, 19, Willow's like 17. Of course they watch Netflix.
Who doesn't
they got it for
have
life
Netflix? Now. Everyone, pretty much everyone in the world has access to Netflix or has been
Not
exposed
Tarantino.
to it at some point. Yeah, well, Tarantino's, he's
like these filmmakers, these Gen X name brand people, the Almodovars, the Tarantinos, these kind of filmmakers, they are very stingent, and they have this belief along with these French filmgoers and developers, whatever you want to call them, supporters, have this idea that Netflix is killing the cinema, is killing movies, while if you flip that, the reason why Bong Joon-ho went to Netflix and he came out, because this is like a never-ending battle there currently, he said the reason he went to Netflix was how horrible his experience with Snowpiercer is, how he didn't have Final Cut, how they wanted changes.
Well, he did
done.
at the end of the day, but he had
finally,
a long,
but it was
battle.
Yeah, it was an uphill battle. Netflix went, "We'll give
Just
you
do what
money,
you want,
make
yeah.
the movie, it's whatever you want it to be, and then the whole world will see it at the same time." And he went, "Yeah, of course, why not?" That's what everyone is doing at Netflix. Like that's the reason they're able to get these people. Amazon is the same deal. It's just Amazon's a different, it's a different world. It's getting a theatrical release. It's a much higher premium because not just the price to watch on Prime, but then also the Jeff Bezos and stuff like that. It's a different industry almost. And it's not killing cinema. It is allowing cinema to evolve into what it should have always been. Almost a egalitarian. Like, it's for the people. Like, films are the most natural entertainment medium. Especially if you're deaf, take like The Tribe for example. It doesn't matter where you're from, you can watch a movie and relate. There is almost no language barrier, and if there is, you can read subtitles. There's just something about the cinematic mode that correlates to humanistic experiences, and for there to even be an argument about something like this, like, the only thing that Netflix does that is bad is skip over the credits at the end of a movie and show you other titles. That's the one bad thing. It gives you different audio tracks. It gives you different subtitles, including closed captions. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your tab. You can watch it on your TV. You can watch it in a theater. Like, you have so many choices, and they finally get to go to the Oscars. They get to go to the Golden Globes. They're going to the Emmys. They're going to Cannes now. They're at Venice. They're everywhere, and filmmakers aren't happy. And I really just can't wrap my head around it. I might not love Netflix. I kind of love their movies, but it's a little too late to even be on the wrong side of the fence. There is no fence anymore.
Well, it feels like stupid shit like this screening. It's, I don't feel like it's coincidence. Like I feel like I'm becoming a conspiracy theorist actually thinking that
it seems
this
intentional
stuff
given
is like
this past
directly
week.
feeding into the argument. And it's like that shit with the Oscars, and even beforehand, like everyone was going like, "Oh, fucking La La Land can't win. It better be Moonlight. I don't care." And then that shit happens. It's like, wow, it seems like it's way, way, way too on the nose to be a mistake. It feels almost like that shit happened on purpose. That was my worry right when I heard about it. I mean, with this, it's more like, is this shit planned? It's such an obvious way to just feed into this. Just this conversation that I'm just kind of like, really, is this what we're stooping down to? Like, yeah, man.
Speaking about conspiracy
it's just
theories,
not that hard to bring the worst out in people over
my
dumb shit.
fears last year that you thought were bullshit have been realized. Jimmy Kimmel is returning to host the Oscars for the 90th annual broadcast. They
Not
pushed it
bullshit.
even
I
further
kind of
this
just
year.
didn't care, but
It's March 4th, but no, like Disney ownership of the Oscars is pretty real now. ABC has the rights. Jimmy Kimmel, their golden child, is hosting it. Like at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he became the new Dick Clark. No, it wasn't Dick Clark. It was Bob Hope, and just like host the Oscars for a million years in a row. Like I just see that being a thing now. Like why? As long as ABC has the rights, they're not going to let him go. I can almost imagine him becoming the Academy president when Cheryl Boone Isaac steps down later this year.
well, I don't know. Is it a joke, or did I hear something about Kimmel possibly retiring at some point?
He's definitely planning it. He's been doing his talk show now for like 13 years. Before that, he was a TV personality on Win Ben Stein's Money and The Man Show. He's had radio shows. He did stand up before that. He was an actor. Like he's been in
See, he might be like Jeff
more than
Ross,
half
where
his
he
life.
just retires and then the Oscars are his only gig.
Maybe I could see that. Like I don't. He's got Disney money in his pocket. You know, like when you have that many millions and billions being thrown at you, it's hard not to do the job. Like even his son a couple of weeks ago, his newborn son that had the heart defect and they had to do the surgery, and then he had like a very serious monologue on his show, and then you had all these people, mostly Trump supporters, going, "Hey, fuck you, dude! Like we can't talk like that about stuff like that on TV." I didn't even know this thing actually happened because, hey, I don't watch late night television. Because
I'm
of the
hearing
show.
about it for the first time now.
Yeah, it was a very small thing that happened a couple weeks ago. All you gotta know is that his son survived the surgery. He's A-okay, whatever. But it became this whole like political thing where blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like SNL this year. It just had its season finale. It had like its biggest numbers in like 2 decades or something asinine. And the only reason it did well is that so many people hated Donald Trump, or hate Donald Trump rather, that it fueled natural comedy, and then people tuned into this historically bad comedic show to watch something so they could stay in the, like, it was no longer a hot topic because, hey, he did these things, like look at him in Saudi Arabia with these people, blah, 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 look at these tweets that he posted in the past versus what he's tweeting now. It's like he predict the future as a witch or whatever. So you throw that into the sketch comedy stuff, and so it's like you're entertained by the news item when it happens, and then you see these people like Alec Baldwin and so forth doing their performance on this, and then it's like the same news item twice. I have to believe that New Yorkers, SNL fans, and more importantly, SNL cast members love Donald Trump more than they hate him, because they wouldn't be watching the show without him. Like, no one talks about SNL at all outside of the Alec Baldwin stuff now. And next season,
everything that Trump does, well, it's not just fueling, SNL, but it's all those late shows, like
all
even
comedians.
Colbert, or Daily Show. Hell, even last week tonight, it's
especially, well, that's 100% politics, so of course.
Yeah,
but they love
all that
him.
stuff, though. I mean, like he's just fueling the fire for the jokes. Like which kind of sucks for comedy now because I don't know. I'm kind of just getting tired of it at this point. But
I really
Trump.
I
just
got tired
needs to
of
shut
it.
The fuck up. Like that's
I got
really where
tired of it when we stopped covering politics. It only lasted 4 weeks or whatever, 5 weeks, and I got to the point where I was like, well, nothing matters anymore. Everyone has their viewpoint. No one even listens to the facts. It's all fake news, right? And it was not worth my breath, literally. It was not worth the research. Like, I put so much time into this show that the time I placed on that was literally retarded. Like, you can very easily not follow people on the internet. And yet, I would assume more people that quote-unquote hate Trump follow him than his actual supporters.
Oh, yeah.
Like people like Kumail Nanjiani and...
People constantly at him and just troll at him all the time.
It's like understand that you
Joe
literally...
Carnahan, who I love the guy, but yeah.
These people are literally fueling the fires. It's like the only times where I think I've said something about Trump that was actually relevant, that made sense, was when I said whoever defaced his Hollywood star is the person that elected him president. that gave him such a natural platform to become just a mouthpiece for these angry people in the world that it seriously elected him. Like when you throw that in with the Anthony Weiner stuff, Hillary Clinton's like emails, like all the things that could have possibly happened, it was almost like it was naturally always going to. When they make a biopic about his presidential campaign, I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting movie. It could be as soon as 2 years from now, to be honest. And
no, they'll fast track that.
It might win an Oscar. You know, like it's one of those type of ideas where people are still going to care, even if they don't care about
liberal
him.
Hollywood would probably eat that shit up, I'm sure.
Hollywood
it could very well.
That's the weird thing. It's like Hollywood as a town is, yes, very liberal, but the people that run Hollywood are very conservative. Like looking at like someone like Roger Ailes, like these kind of people, maybe not Jeff Bezos, but definitely the Murdoch family, Richard Branson. You know, the people that actually run the companies, the people at the board meetings.
Yeah.
Of course, they're conservative. Like they don't want to lose their money. They work really, really hard for their billions and billions of dollars. Like they're not going to let go and help people pay for their health insurance. Like as far as they're concerned, work for a hard job, get the benefits, pay it off. Don't get anything for free. So it's like I think that's just the weirdest thing. It's like politically correctness might stem from the left wing and people like Hollywood, but at the same time they also are they create the image that we worship. Crazy to think about. Just one thing on Netflix before we move on to other things. Remember that Michael Jackson chimpanzee movie Bubbles that Taika Waititi is co-directing?
Mm-hmm.
It's a Netflix movie. Very excited about this. I think it's a natural home for a film like that, to be honest. Because look at something like Anomalisa, the most recent stop-motion movie. People don't really see those kind of films in theaters. It's a very specialized form of animation. Netflix, though.
I mean, my
screening
of that was sold out, but...
Well, you know, you're in a special part of the country at a specialized
Yeah, but
theater.
I wasn't there then.
Even still, okay, you got fucking lucky. I wish I saw Anomalisa in theaters, but it's on
fun.
Amazon Prime.
The crowd that laughed.
It's on Amazon Prime, folks. If you haven't seen it, amazing Charlie Kaufman movie that not enough people have seen. Very hard to get into though. You give it some time, you'll grow on you. We got an episode for that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think this is a great fit. They can throw as much money at it, of course, as they want. This is going to be in a post Thor Ragnarok world. This is Hunt for the Wilder People is already on Prime, so that has a streaming window. What We Do in the Shadows is on Prime. I'm surprised Prime didn't buy this instead of Netflix, since they already have some of his library on their streaming service. But very, very happy for Taika Waititi and just this weird movie that probably shouldn't exist, and I'm be able to see without having to leave my house. Very happy for this Bubbles movie. Moving on to more topical things, though, and this is a follow-up because last week we were talking about it, and I feel like I'm very guilty for these news items, especially because I was like, why haven't we heard about Wanda in so long? What happened to them? They were in the news like every week, and now they disappeared. Over the last 2 weeks, Legendary has been losing a lot of people. It started with Toll at the beginning of the year. Last week, they lost their head of their East Asia department. And then this week, it's very obvious that they're in full overhaul mode. They have lost their chief financial officer and their chief legal counsel.
What are they doing?
So 4 of their major figureheads have just left the company. They are clearly in 100% reinvention mode. What do they have up their sleeve?
See, they have so much money and they've acquired like so many theaters, and I mean, just, at this point, I'm just like, why don't you start your own company? Like, what is going on here? I mean, this is weird. You buy a production company, and you know that. Yeah, what's going on, man? Like,
I think they just wanted the name.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, let them make you some money. You'd get them for a reason, but.
I think they just wanted the name brand recognition, the intellectual property, and a piece of Hollywood that was easily obtainable. The fact that everyone jumps ship either means one of two things. One, they have really crazy ideas at Wanda, and everyone that has been on board since its inception 10 years ago doesn't want any part of it. Or two, these people are the reason why the Legendary was failing so hard, which it has for the last couple of years. So maybe it's a curse,
since they've
maybe
gone
it's
to
a
Universal,
blessing.
it really hasn't been that big.
Yeah. When they severed ties with Warner Brothers, it went woo, but Wanda doesn't care because they might own a lot of stuff. They own AMC, they own Lowe's, they own Carmike Cinemas. They have their own homegrown Wanda cinema line, and it's only getting bigger this week. And this is going to sound like nothing. They purchased 1.9% of Bona Film Group. This is another Chinese cinema company who owns movie theaters. Like I said, it's only 1.9. That's really nothing. It doesn't sound impressive. It's literally like $44 million in stock. Which is chump change. It's nothing. But this is what they're getting. They're going to rebrand all 41 of Bona's cinemas into Wanda Cinema Line, which includes already, just the Wanda Cinema Line, 401 locations and counting. So now it's going to be almost 450. But here's the real thing. This is a follow-up on a follow-up on a follow-up. Bona Film, at the beginning of the year, brokered a deal with IMAX to open 5 IMAX screens a year for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. So now those are also going to be Wanda IMAX theaters, which pretty much means Wanda's going to own every single IMAX screen in all of China. Also of note, Bona Film and Wanda are going to work together, co-collaborate, and invest on future projects together. So this is the beginning of a partnership. Maybe Bona's going to film their projects at Wanda's film studio that they're still in the process of opening. But this is like crazy big. Now, like they're on track to become a theatrical monopoly from just a pure
pretty much
exhibition standpoint. If they could buy Edwards, if they could buy like Pacific Theaters. Like if they could buy, or maybe they'll start with Pacific. They'll go low first. What if they bought Draft House? They have the money
to think about. Yeah, I don't know. Would Tim League do it? I don't know.
AMC's turned themselves around since Wanda bought them. In terms of now, they like almost every theater, especially metropolitan areas. They have reserved seating. They have the reclining chairs with nice leather. Lots of them have beer.
That's kind of what
lots of
every
them have
multiplex
nicer
does.
food.
It's still
they're
or at least
they're
here,
doing
yeah,
that.
But
it's
still
AMC
very different
was
from Draft House, though. But
yeah, of course. But AMC was like the last of the majors to really go full throttle on this, especially in Long Beach. The AMC that I don't like going to at Marina Pacifica, they got their recliners when I saw The Founder. It was a very recent addition. So I don't think they're doing something wrong. Maybe they don't know how to run actual production companies, but on the other side of the screen, they totally know what they're doing. Like they're becoming the premier exhibition group. Like I wouldn't be surprised in the not too distant future if AMC just dropped its branding and became Wanda here. Don't
just be like, hey, there's already one AMC. Why confuse that with the one on television? Let's just call it Wanda.
Really though, like American Multi-Cinema, and I don't know what AMC stands for on TV. That's a really weird branding. They probably will replace it, or maybe they, instead of going Wanda, they just maybe it's WCL, it's Wanda Cinema Line or something like that. Mm-hmm. But they got a lot up their sleeve. I still, of all of the news points that we followed in our almost 100 episodes now, Wanda has been my favorite. Wanda and virtual reality, like those are the only two that I really, really care about. Like VR is too big of a spectrum; it covers so many companies and so many revenue streams. But just Wanda, like if I had to pick one company, it's Wanda. Like they're really, in terms of what they're trying to do for Hollywood, like a lot of the positive things I said about Infernal Affairs, which is our next Cinema episode you can listen to this week or whenever you decide to listen to it. A lot of the positive things I said about them, especially in terms of like how Chinese cinemas kind of changed the world. I think I was looking at in terms of the reflection of Wanda. Like Wanda really became an entertainment entity around that same time period, like 2005, 2000 era. So all they got to figure out is how to produce movies. We'll find out, with Godzilla 2, and I guess we got King Kong, but that was already in production when that handover happened. Like we'll know for sure with Godzilla 2, King Kong versus Godzilla, Pacific Rim 2, like these films on an international level.
That's really
that
what
they
got
assume,
left right now. Or
yeah,
that's the only thing they got.
It's
still
the
too early to tell, but it's a good start.
And of course, Pacific Rim is going to cross over with King Kong Godzilla because why the fuck wouldn't it? Like
It'd be stupid
it can't
not to.
not. It'd be very stupid not to. So we'll find out in the very soon future. This is just kind of like a little aside, just because talking about monopolies. But Comcast, they stealthily launched their Xfinity mobile telecom this week. There wasn't a press release, there wasn't a commercial, there wasn't an ad campaign. If you have Xfinity already, check your email. You might have an offer. It's a really good price point. $65 a month for unlimited data, and it's currently $45 at an introductory discounted rate. This is on Verizon's network, so you can be the 100% Comcast, NBC, Universal, Xfinity company. This is the same equation as AT&T, DirecTV, Time Warner. They are compatriots now. They are on the same wavelength. Comcast doesn't have nearly as good of intellectual property, but they do have the same revenue streams, the same avenues of distribution, and the same kind of media outlets. So this is going to be one of the stories to follow. How, it's still to be seen if Time Warner is able to get that merger to go through, or rather if AT&T, since that would be the new parent, not Time Warner. And if they can, then it's open. Fuck. What if Wanda, like not Comcast, what if Wanda bought T-Mobile and Sprint?
Yeah.
What if they bought Paramount, which has been rumored for a long time now?
Oh, we've been talking about that for a while.
That would be cool. It's almost unnecessary now. Like, as soon as one monster peeks its head out, as soon as there's AT&T, Time Warner, we got this Comcast, Xfinity, we're going to need another one. You need as many possible. That way there is no possibility of monopolies. But then also 30 years from now, when one of them crashes, surely they're all going to crash. And then we're going to be like in the worst depression ever. So, let's hope that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
That's the
Dust
danger
Bowl
of that.
2.0. Dust Bowl 2.0. You're like, 100 years today, the first Dust Bowl happened, guys. It's going to be right around that time frame, I would assume.
Yeah.
It'd be funny. Yeah. This is kind of just a continuation of mobile growing bigger, and also a I told you so. Proof that vertical video is coming to dominate mobile streaming. Spotify this week began offering a new exclusive Selena Gomez music video, and it's only available in portrait mode. So Tilt and Scan is definitely already here. And if Spotify releases the numbers on this, I'm sure it's here to stay.
Just, I know I'm not in the demographic for this, so it really doesn't affect me at all. But do people actually like this, or do they just not really care? I mean, I
It's
know
just
I'm
convenient,
biased 'cause
man. When you're walking down the street holding your phone, watching content, it is much more convenient to hold the phone the way that the phone was meant to be held. When you hold it in landscape, you don't want to hold your $600+ device with one hand in a way that doesn't have good balance distribution. And then two, in terms of
easy
stability,
to hold it on your palm, just facing, in landscape mode. That's
but
what
however,
I
if
do.
someone called you when you're holding it like that, it's inconvenient for you to flip it and bring it up to your ear. I don't know. It's not something I'm not passionate
It's
about.
already
vertical
on my
video
palm
or anything.
Like
Maybe,
I just
but
gotta move my fingers slightly. I mean, I don't know.
image stability is a lot easier when you're holding the phone as if you're talking with it, among other things. But just in terms of, I don't know if you saw the
it's
retweet
the
I
same
made.
position. I just move my palm a little bit. That's all.
Sure. I don't know if you saw the retweet I made, but there's this kid. He uses Musical.ly. It kind of blew up on film Twitter this week. Young urban black dude. I don't know his age. I would say like 16. He films this stuff. You got to go. Well, you don't have internet right now. Musical.ly is basically a lip sync app that you take your song, you rap the lyrics, sing the lyrics, and it's your way of making like a karaoke video, like carpool karaoke type thing. But this kid is using like next level film techniques that don't even exist yet, strictly like from a digital standpoint, doing it in camera with no editing on the side, and like basically rewriting what's possible in a digital landscape. A lot of people were tweeting about this guy, including Colin Trevorrow, the guy that made it a big thing. Let me find him, because I think the name of the kid is like not Xavier Dolan. That's an actual filmmaker. Let me find this guy, because I want to. Yeah, I want to give him actual name recognition. Let me find it. Like I said, I retweeted it on the Dollar Reviews Twitter handle. And I'm trying to use our Twitter more, but it's very hard. Maybe not doing the show would make that easier.
We shall see.
I also retweeted this Paul Thomas Anderson like Q&A that he did, where he's talking about how much why he dropped out of film school, which you should check out. It's very short. It's like 3 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this kid's name is Isaiah Xavier. His Twitter is Isaiah Xavier 10. Matthew H. Harry is the guy that's championing him, but yeah, his content is really, really good. Like, you have to check this out. I want to
when I got internet again, I will.
Yeah, I don't know if his style would translate literally to being in like a more like a 16:9 aspect ratio. When you're watching it and you're holding your phone and you're watching it in this vertical landscape, you're more enamored because you know that he shot it on his phone with its selfie.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, like anything, if whatever the ratio is, like it's better to watch it the way that it was filmed. Like that is true with anything. Like even if someone, if I'm watching someone's video on Facebook or off of Twitter and they held it, vertically, then I kind of have no choice to watch it that way. Otherwise, it'll just be really, really small, and you'll have all these bars on the sides, and that takes up even more of the screen. But man, honestly, for me, it's just like, my eyes are side to side, not top and bottom. So for me, it just irritates me. I feel like I'm missing stuff.
Well, I would argue
that's
then,
just
like,
me,
why
though.
do people watch movies in a traditional theater when IMAX takes advantage more of your periphery? Like, why stop there? Why not do Cinerama? Why stop?
Well, yeah,
at
but
Cinerama?
IMAX
Why not
says
do,
both width and height.
Well, even still, it takes more advantage of what our eye is able
like
to see.
Like 4x3
naturally.
is the limit, I'd say.
4x3 is, but even by today's
Well, that's
standards,
IMAX.
like 4x3,
That is IMAX.
It's a little bit bigger than. I don't think is it 4x3?
Rough. I think it's
Because I know there's 65. I think it's a
okay.
A little
4x3
bit
is
larger
1
than that.
by 33. I think IMAX properly is more like 1 by 4.
1 by 4.
40.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit wider. But
It's close to
pretty
Academy
much
ratio.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another little news item about Annapurna. And this can be kind of the last thing that we're touching base on for follow-ups before we move to the headlines. Annapurna just put another notch in their belt. They just struck a 2-year deal with Pastel, whose name you might not know, but you definitely know the things they've done. They're the production company behind Moonlight, and most notably, they are the home of Barry Jenkins' next film. So Annapurna now owns Barry Jenkins' future filmography, at least for one more feature. I don't know what kind of fucking clout Megan Ellison's got, but she's got it. Like, if someone is looking, like, if Sony is still looking, I know they just got their new head, but if they should have got her. Like, she's had like the biggest year in filmmaking. Well, even though she doesn't actually make the film, she produces them.
Yeah, no,
but
it's been like a 4-year run though so far, and Annapurna's put out
something like
a lot
that.
of stuff.
Oh yeah, they put out a lot, but just in terms of the last 4 months, in terms of what they've been able to do between getting the international distribution rights with MGM, getting Detroit, and actually distributing that themselves. How they might, I mean, it's still a rumor, but how they might possibly get James Bond. If they do that, they have a connection with Catherine Bigelow. They could get her directed, which would be not only huge for female filmmakers and female viewers, but also international films. It would be so awesome.
Awesome movie in general. I would watch that.
Like, Wonder Woman is really the test. If this is good, and everyone says it's good, and if it makes a lot of money, which it should, then people are seriously, for the first time, going to go, yeah, women can make blockbusters. We never saw Point Break. We didn't understand
that. For that. Deep Impact, man. Come on.
I would stick with Point Break as a better example, personally.
Okay.
But
well, no, I mean, we're bringing up blockbusters, but it's like, I don't know. Just the conversation is stupid. It's
a
like
very
when
stupid
Bridesmaids
conversation.
came out and people were like, "Oh, women can be funny." I'm like, dude, it's just a fucking funny ass movie. Do we really have to like talk about this?
Yeah, and then movie made the female Ghostbusters happen, and then we know that women can also not be funny.
Well,
that movie's
or we
not
just
bad.
Know, like,
but...
oh, hey, this is what happens when you make your movie an agenda and you try way too hard to be something rather than just being funny and being you.
That movie could have been good. It was so close to being good.
It could have, but it did try way too hard to.
Well, it was more like how do you make a blockbuster? We're going to make one. Instead of, let's make a funny movie that has action beats in it. Like, they went full on, we're going to make the biggest summer movie this year, guys. And then it was like, that came out, didn't it? Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I say this owning the Lego Dimensions Ghostbusters 2016 story pack. Yeah.
I mean, it was fine. It was amusing. There were good laughs in there.
Lots of good laughs. Chris Hemsworth alone. Lots of good laughs.
Yeah.
Moving on, though. There's only 2 more things before the headlines. We're actually for an ad break before the headline. On Thursday, Facebook announced a big thing. They've got a deal to stream 20 Friday night games from the MLB Facebook page, which began this week, actually, matter of fact, when the Rockies visited the Reds. This is notable because Twitter has been at the forefront of live streaming for sports. Right behind them, you got Amazon. You got the big deal for Monday Night Football a couple of weeks back. And Facebook has been rumored to be trying to build their live video service. They already have VR and 360 content built in the newsfeed. They have people like users making video, and then a couple of filmmakers that are trying more experimental, like vertical stuff. But this is their first real get. Like, this is them flexing their muscles big time, taking advantage of the 2 billion active users they have on their service. It crossed the 2 billion point about a week ago now, which is just insane to think about. So those 2 billion people,
2/3 of the planet.
Yeah, but no,
Nearly.
No, there's like 7
nearly.
Billion.
Yeah, no, that's why I said
not
nearly.
2/3, like a quarter.
That's closer to well.
No.
I guess it does keep climbing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna keep climbing, but it's not that's not the right fraction. 2/3 would be like 4 billion or 5 billion.
Well, how long did we cross 7 billion? Like 6
years
ago?
Yeah, we're probably 7.5 billion now. But even still, out of those people, the people that are old enough to use the internet, and not counting the people that are too old to use the internet, yeah, it's about a quarter of the population uses Facebook. And then out of that, I don't know how many people are baseball fans. We'll call it 500 million, maybe a little bit less than that.
For the MLB, 500 million?
Yeah, I would
say less than that.
I don't know. Like, not every American loves it, but baseball is
worldwide,
huge.
Like,
baseball is huge in Latin America, Central America, Latin America, North America. Also, good parts. I'm not sure every cricket fan loves baseball, but Japanese people love baseball.
But how many people pay attention to the MLB, though?
I don't know. What it really comes down to is, if you want to watch sports, if you're a sports fan and it's a Friday night and you don't know what to do and you're not going out to the movies, it's kind of like the Netflix argument. Well, I can watch the baseball game for free right now on the Facebook page. Fuck it, I'll watch it. And I probably will find myself doing that at some point if I'm not working, just out of curiosity what that looks like. I did find myself this week watching some of the live Twitter stuff just because I was on my timeline. I saw it in the bottom right hand of my screen. It said live now, and I pressed yes, and I started watching. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I just hadn't done it before. At least I didn't remember doing it. And Facebook is going to be doing the same thing. I'm sure they're going to have big ads on the front page that are kind of like live now. Like, not just for the people that are fans of the Facebook page itself, but just if you, like, say you like the LA Dodgers or you're a fan of MLB The Show, like just using what you know and using like computer learning to kind of recommend it to you, that as long as they capitalize on this, maybe they get branding, call it like the Facebook All-Star Game or something like that. If they can really catapult their brand and try to take a bigger chunk out of sports and compete with Twitter, it's going to make it really interesting. Just for the same reasons that Twitter's making it interesting. They already have an avenue for the fans to talk about things in real time. Facebook is the same exact thing. Like, once upon a time when I was really, really dedicated to being a Dodgers fan in like the 2009 to 2011 seasons, I watched like more than half the games every season. I would go on Twitter and like live tweet the games like with box scores. Like, people would text me, "What's the Dodgers?" No, they wouldn't ask the Dodgers score. They would go, "What's the score?" And I would go, "Oh, it's this," because I was watching it. Like, I was very passionate. Like, I have a Dodgers debit card, and I got that card right in this time frame. Like,
wow.
I loved me some baseball back then.
There was a time when I was a hardcore Angels fan, mainly in like elementary school and middle school. Like, this was around the time they won the World Series then too.
Yeah.
But
When
that
Disney
didn't last
won the
long
World
as a
Series.
thing.
Yeah, someone came into work yesterday and they took their phone out and they're like, "Oh, I guess the Spurs are gone." And I knew exactly what they're talking about. They're clearly talking about the NBA playoffs.
Finals, yeah.
Like I get it, you know. But then also when they said that, I went, once upon a time, I probably would have started a conversation about that. And now I'm like, I really don't give a shit. It's like I don't have enough time to care about what millionaires are doing for fun. Here. Good, you know, like the fact that I spent so much of my life just concerned about what these literal millionaires are doing for leisure when I'm struggling to make half of what they make in one season my whole life. And then when you stack that on top of the idea that every rookie in every sport until the end of time is always going to be younger than me now. I can't look up to them. Like, they're no longer idols. Like, when you're a kid, I get it. Like, it's a dream. Yeah. How cool would it be if I was amazing at basketball, that I could make a ton of money, be internationally famous, and all my fans can watch me on TV all the time just for being good at dribbling this ball and shooting this ball? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's a great pipe dream. It's just as good as I want to be president or I want to be a singer or something. But then I think when you enter the real world, when you become an adult and get a real job, you go, fuck those guys. They don't know what hard work is. Free healthcare, free food, more money they can do with it. Their hardship is, I'm batting below my average right now. I keep getting struck out. Shit. Like, it must be.
That's kind of why college sports is more fun than fucking professional stuff. And yet, even then, what sucks is that those guys in college, they're not making any fucking money. They sell their rights away for video games, and they don't get shit from that.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. The NCAA no longer is able to publish, or not publish, but sell the rights to their athletes. NCAA has not published a video game since 2014. NCAA football was the very last one, and I believe NCAA basketball 10 was the last one with Blake Griffin on the cover, which is still worth a lot of money. It retails for $35. Don't ask me how I know that. Here's a tandem of what the fuck movie ideas before we get into the real fun stuff. It looks like Sony has found its creative team for fall's Venom film, and like I said, fall, this is coming out October 2018. It's going to star Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, aka Venom, and Ruben Fleischer of Zombieland fame is going to be directing.
Good.
Cool.
He's got a job finally.
Yeah, cool that they got a creative team, but this film is coming out in about a year. They just got a cast and half a crew.
Well, what
the fuck is Sony doing?
Like, I don't know. Is it going to be that big? If they're going for fall, then I'm just guessing maybe they're going for the R-rated, lower budget.
It came out that Sony's Spider-Man universe is pretty much separate from Marvel Cinematic Universe this week. Like, it was pretty known, but now it's like a for sure thing. And so I have to imagine that Spider-Man Homecoming, to an extent, is MCU in terms of the Tony Stark Spider-Man stuff. Maybe if there's any Ultron,
it's totally
or not Ultron,
MCU.
but
they reference the Avengers. It's absolutely MCU.
Sure, but I think it's kind of going to be more like the Netflix MCU rather than the MCU. I think that this is the only time that Avengers is going to show up in one of their Spider-Man films, and that's strictly because the Marvel films this year are, besides Guardians, are at the tail end of the fiscal year, or not fiscal year, calendar year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Venom in some capacity is almost like referenced in some way in this film. Maybe like in a laboratory there's a petri dish with some black goo on it and it's moving around kind of shit. Or even better than that, if they just film like a Tom Hardy post-credit sequence. You know, like that'd be very easy. You don't need the costume or anything. Just him with a badge that says Eddie Brock.
It's going to be completely separate. So,
I don't know if it can be completely separate. At all.
That's what they say, man.
That's what they're saying, but how you can't have a Venom movie without Spider-Man. It's not going to work.
I can accept it.
It's going to be weird.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see when a trailer lands next. It's going to be like this time next year. Or a little bit before this.
Yeah.
It's going to be CinemaCon next year. That's a definite guarantee. CinemaCon next year.
They'll definitely have stuff for Comic-Con.
Oh yeah, for sure, because it's
Hmm
3 months out from when the movie's gonna land. I
Yeah.
just see this getting pushed. There's no way. Why
Jumanji
like
got pushed, so I wouldn't be shocked either. But like again, this is another fucking comic book franchise. I've said it before. I'm burnt out. I kind of just don't care. But
it's like
yay, Ruben Fleischer is making movies again
yeah,
because
no,
after Gangster
Zombieland's a good
Squad,
movie. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he did Gangster Squad.
yeah, which I really wanted to love, really
I
wanted
think
to.
everyone wanted to love that. If that theater shooting didn't happen when it did, maybe the film would have been better. They wouldn't have
Oh,
cut
that
it
would
the
have
way
been
it
one
did.
scene. That would have been one
Well,
scene.
that's one
But
scene that we know about, but if you already altered that sequence, they probably started doing other things too. Like, I doubt the movie was going to be good, but I don't think it would have been bad. At least it
mm,
still has the Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling stuff, and that
yeah,
works.
that stuff's good. Yeah.
And also seeing Thanos, seeing James Brolin,
Josh Brolin.
Josh
Yeah.
Brolin, excuse me, as a badass cop is pretty cool. He
Yeah.
plays that role really well. I hope he
Oh,
does
yeah,
that
no
again in the
one's
future.
bad in that movie. Sean Penn goes over the top, but I think it's actually pretty cool how he does it. But
You mean Chris Penn?
yeah,
No,
everyone
I'm
gives
joking.
it their all in that movie.
It's just not a good movie.
Yeah, it
It's a
just
been there,
ends up
done
being
that,
okay.
like bad version of L.A. Confidential. There's
Yeah.
like not even a mystery in Gangster Squad,
No, it's just a cops and robbers movie. Dick
and
Tracy is a better movie.
stylistically, definitely miles away. Get to cinema, check it out. Last little keeping tabs though, and this is of a related note. It looks like they're looking to reboot the Resident Evil film franchise already
Mm,
after quote unquote ending it last year. The thing
mm,
is, I'm actually okay with this for no other reason than A, those 6 Resident Evil films had absolutely nothing to do with the Capcom video game series, and 2, Resident Evil 7 just came out this January, huge hit, and it was a soft reboot of the franchise anyway. So given that the video games just press the restart button, why not start making movies that are actually related to the huge hits that they've been making for 20 years now? I think it's a good move, just a little too early.
well,
Um,
it's just. Are these things even gonna like? Are they a good financial investment when you think about it? I mean, creatively, I guess from your perspective, yeah, I can see it. But dude, Alien Covenant just opened this weekend, and it wasn't a huge hit. It just was like, eh.
beat Guardians.
Like it'll be fun. I don't know. Those numbers could flip because they're very close.
It's possible, but
They're really,
in terms of
really
being
close.
in terms of being a
And
hard R, the fact that it beat the family-friendly film, kind of impressive on Fox
in its
part.
third weekend. And also the
Still,
numbers are so close and its box office, it opened big on Friday and then it drops Saturday and it drops Sunday. It's opening like a horror movie, which,
makes
makes
sense.
sense. But still, like, those numbers are very, very, very close. Like, it could flip, could not, I don't know. But, we'll see. And still, it's not a big enough, like, it's not going to lose money. It'll probably break even. But still, like, is it really enough for it to demand, like, what is it, 5 or 6 more of these at this point?
I don't think it's gonna
That
happen.
Ridley Scott is talking about? No, like
I think Ridley Scott is riding some fucking crazy horse. I mean, he's probably just so excited about making Don Quixote that he's kind of talking out of his ass. We're gonna be talking about him a little later in the show. I still want to see it. One of my coworkers saw it, and he didn't say the most positive things, but all it did was, especially with our conversation, we're like, wait, this thing's not in 3D? I went from, okay,
yeah,
I definitely have to see it in theaters to I'll see it at home. And then after the conversation today, I went, I'll definitely see it at home, just, maybe not the weekend it starts being on VOD. It'll be
yeah,
an
no,
HBO thing.
it's I don't know why it's not. He didn't do it in 3D, but
Stupid ass.
it's weird.
You know
Yeah,
how much more money it would have made in 3D?
especially internationally, they're probably
Yeah.
getting conversions, I guess. But
Yeah, I have to
I
imagine that
imagine, yeah.
Asia is getting conversion, because if Fast and Furious 7 did,
Oh yeah, fucking
everything will.
The Bourne
Yeah, the
Legacy,
Bourne movie, yeah.
or
I
no,
mean,
wait,
Supremacy. No,
yeah,
Jason Bourne.
no. Yeah, Jason Bourne. Yeah, Legacy was the Jeremy Renner one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Jason
one
Bourne's on
fucking got a
HBO now.
3D conversion for China.
That's the
And they were
craziest thing.
throwing up during that, yeah. That one really pissed them off. That's amazing.
Weirdos. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is the ad break where I get to talk about. What do I want
What
to
do you
talk
got?
about?
What do you got?
Final do an easy one. Where I get to talk about the PlayStation VR aim controller. It's the hottest peripheral in virtual reality and gaming. It just came out this past weekend, only available in a bundle with Sony's first-party title Farpoint, developed by Impulse Gear. It provides one-to-one tracking in virtual reality, which is a first for the industry. It both has motion tracking via gyroscope and accelerometer, not to mention Bluetooth, and it has outside-in tracking made available by Move's patented LED tracking bulbs. The controller feels great in the hand. It is lightweight and extremely balanced. It not only has every button that the DualShock 4, aka the PlayStation 4's input controller has, but it also has a pretty great battery life. And very, very low latency. Like I said, it is one-to-one. As of recording, it works both with Farpoint and Dick Wild only being a digital title. And then ROM Extraction, Brookhaven Experiment, and Arizona Sunshine are yet to come in the months in the future. With E3 happening 2 weeks from now, I'm sure Sony's going to show off something really cool, whether that be first-party IP that we know and love, such as Resistance, SOCOM, or Killzone, is anyone's guess. With the controller by itself, which MSRP is $49.99, or in the bundle, which is $79.99 and very hard to find. It is worth the bet. I'd buy that for $1. And if you're wondering what this ad was for, if we're in our Patreon, patreon.com/dollarreviews, one of the things that's available, which isn't going to really make sense anymore unless we just subplant the 2 cents ads and make it available on Dollar Reviews and Deaths of Cinema, which is a very definite possibility, especially if you invest in us. We could pitch whatever you got. I'm a Sony fanboy, so it's very easy to praise something that I own of theirs, especially given that not only do I have Twitch gameplay recordings for the first 3 missions, actually, of Farpoint. I also made clips of them available at twitch.tv/cstrife991/clips. They are also available in archive format on YouTube. And then on top of that, my first impressions are also available in our latest episode of Dollar Reviews, which features I Do Not Feel at Home in This World Anymore, Farpoint, also Master of None Season 2. Moving on to the headlines now, though. We're at the 56-minute point, roughly, of this episode. The first one, and you kind of talked about this a minute ago, now 56 minutes ago, in terms of asshole filmgoers, when we were talking about people at the Okja screening at Con. You must have read about this, especially because some of you tweeted about it. Brandon Vesmar, a 37-year-old man living in Austin, Texas, is suing a woman for texting throughout their first date when he took her to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in 3D. The civil suit is class action. I have not heard
about this.
No? So this is small claims court, and the suit is for $17.31, hopefully plus damages, so the ticket price. James Gunn even retweeted this himself and said, "Why stop at suing? She deserves jail time." I cannot imagine a worse experience than having a first date with someone I met on the internet, taking them to see a movie I really want to see, ponying up for the 3D ticket, and they literally take their phone out and start texting someone 15 minutes into the screening. I can definitely...
The mistake he made was that he didn't take her to an Alamo Draft House, and he did not raise the order card.
Do they even do 3D there, to be honest?
Yeah. No, they do have 3D. There just aren't as many showings these days, so it's usually restricted to like 1 or 2, maybe 3. But yeah, you can. There's 3D at multiple locations. I think every single one, well, except for the Ritz probably, but every single location should have a screen that's fit for it.
Well, anyone that's listened to this show, especially Dollar Reviews, Never Death of Cinema, has heard me multiple times talk about my bad experiences at the multiplex, whether with that being kids or people being obnoxious or being on their phone. And so this is something that I experience all the time, but it's never someone I know. I have been to the movies with people whose phone has gone off. They grab it, turn it off, put it back in their pocket, no issue. But I can't imagine either a potential lover or a friend having their phone go off and them continuing to do so in my presence. If it was someone I knew, or in this case even barely knew but wanted to.
With people I knew, and then I've just never watched movies in theaters with them again.
No, I would go a step past that. If this was not a first date, let's say this was a second date where you're like my best friend, I would probably grab your phone and throw it. Literally. Like, I wouldn't... It's one thing if I don't know you. You're a random in the theater, and you got bad etiquette.
I would make these things clear at that point where it's just...
It shouldn't have to be clear. it should be obvious. Don't chew with your mouth open. Don't chew gum when talking to people you don't know. Take off your sunglasses when you're interacting with people. You know, there are certain things that you don't have to tell your kids. They just learn them naturally. Don't spit your gum on the sidewalk. If you're at Disneyland, you can't even buy gum. You can't chew gum there, you know? Like, there are certain... Yeah. Gum is
that actually
illegal.
a rule?
Yeah, at Disneyland parks, gum is not allowed, which is probably the best thing about Disneyland. But then again, you also can't drink anything unless it's Coke, and can't eat ice cream unless it's Nestle. So they're all about product placement. I'm sure if Wrigley threw enough money at them, they would probably go for gum. But who's to know? I don't know. But that is a real law. There's no gum mastication allowed in Disney parks, which is cool. No, I hope, like I said, I literally hope that this guy is also filing for damages, because $17 isn't enough to take someone to court over. I guess it's it's like a cool gesture or whatever. You could easily sue her for like $500. Like, if he was seriously like a fan of this movie, because she ruined the experience for everyone. Get everyone in the theater. Go, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I love that this was a news item this week. That someone would go to this extreme. Like, that's awesome. This guy's a hero.
I think he should have gone to a draft house.
Or maybe he will.
And if he was at one, then he should have raised the order card.
Track this guy down. I know it was in The Guardian, or maybe it was a different paper, but it must be one of your papers. You should be able to find an issue. I know you've access to newspaper.
The Chronicle?
Yeah, The Chronicle. That's what it is in. So I'm sure you can find this, and they're probably going to do a follow-up on it. Maybe he even frequents your area of town. You should find this guy. It would be awesome to interview him on the show. He's my hero. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to look at the story up, but I just don't have the internet right now to do it.
Like I said, I told you just about everything that happened. The James Gunn retweet in particular was pretty cool. It's a little nothing thing that doesn't matter, except it's about a very important problem in the industry. I seriously hope right now, especially when AMC decided, hey, we're thinking about making a millennial-friendly theater where you're allowed to text, that becomes a thing. That needs to become a thing. All the people that text will go to that screen. All the people that don't text will go to the non-texting screenings.
You know what? I subscribe to the Joe Carnahan philosophy where there should be a sterilization center for every theater, and if you want to text and talk during your movie, then that's where you got to sit, and the trade-off is, hey, can't have kids anymore.
This could be argued is one of the downfalls or pitfalls to Netflix. When the majority of your film watching or TV watching is at home on a streaming service where there aren't commercials and there are 1,000 distractions around you, taking your phone out isn't an issue. You're allowed to do it. You pay for it, you're allowed to do it. I've been in people's places where they take a DVD out, watch it, or watching Netflix, and their phone's going off and they're texting and whatnot. And I can't really say anything because it's their place, Even when these were my roommates, you're not allowed to really say anything because, hey, it's their place. And if they want to act their way at home...
If you really want to watch a movie at home on your own, you can do that too.
Yeah, you can do that too. Whereas in a theatrical setting, because more people watch movies at home instead of a theater, and also the theater has kind of lost its luster. It's no longer, hey, let's put on our best clothes and jewelry and go have a night on the town. Now it's just I want to see a movie when it comes out, and it's not available because Adam Sandler is not in it type of deal. And they just don't know any better. We both work in, in industries where we encounter not the best kind of people, and these are the same people that lack this etiquette, that kind of seem like they don't have manners at all. And you can almost expect when you meet these kind of people, especially the ones that have a stench to them, you can pretty much assume what their kind of etiquette is in the theater. And it's like this lady, just absent. I'm going to the movie, I'm going to text, I'm going to take my phone out. I was so caught up in my review for Guardians a couple of weeks back when I was talking about the guy to the side of me wearing the sandals.
Yeah.
That I forgot to mention that the girl to the right of me was Snapchatting sections of the movie. I totally forgot about that until right now.
You really get the worst.
Well, see, it was okay because she
Snapchatting
also...
a 3D movie?
No, see, this is why it's okay. She was only Snapchatting Guardians 1, not 2, and it was only the beginning of the film, not the throughout. But it's okay because her and her mom also brought backpacks to the theater with lots and lots of snacks. So, they were just hoodlums. I bring food to the theater. I bring a water bottle everywhere I go on the planet. And usually when I go to the movies, I bring a banana or a granola bar, or in this case, a bag of peanuts. Okay, I bring a small snack. But this was like sandwiches and cookies and like fruit, like a meal. This was a you can afford a $20 ticket, and mind you, show up really late, like missed every trailer and then some. And then when you get there, start eating your food and take your Snapchat out. So there's a lot of bad people on the planet. And, I've talked about this a lot. Like the episode most notably is, was it? I know the title. It's a pun on X-Men. It's not Days of Future Past. I think it's Days of Cinema Past.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. There's that one, and then there's Go Ride In or Stay Home. I think there's like one other one that has a similar title. Like there's 3 of them, and it's always the same thing. It's like, I want a screening room. I want to be able to pay that extra $20 at home to watch it opening weekend in 3D in my VR headset, and not have to bother with these people that ruin my theatrical experience and make me want to not go see a movie in theaters anymore. Like Spider-Man: Homecoming, skipping that one opening night. I'm going to go budget day, see it in 3D for half the price, and go during the morning so I don't have anyone in the theater. I kind of want to do that at this point. I might want to just start doing that for movies.
Honestly. I mean,
just period. I just want to start doing that for movies.
I mean, that's what I was doing for the most part in California. Especially because most of my classes were at night too, so I would, tickets would even be cheaper. Like in the AM shows, they'd be like $5 or $6, which, in some ways that is a better thing to do, especially around then it was. But yeah, now for me it's completely different. It's not like I don't experience these things, but usually they get resolved very quickly, and I'm lucky I get that. Yeah.
It's like I wish I had more power in the one moment that I had a position in one of these situations where when I was still working at AMC and someone was, I believe he might have been on the autistic spectrum, was kind of talking to the movie in a very small screening, and 2 people behind him, a couple, motioned to an usher and got me and a supervisor and someone else to come to the screening or the auditorium to see what the issue was. That was Muscle. And they started, when we showed up, they just didn't understand the procedure. And they started yelling at us going, "That's him! He's the one! Kick his ass out right now!" And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, there were still people watching the movie. I don't remember what it was. It might have been like Terminator Genesis or Max.
You were in Torrance too, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, standing there. I'm like, this is awesome.
That sounds fitting.
And I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to see how this resolves itself. And they like kicked this dude out of the theater, and we had no evidence. Like I don't think we warned him. I think we like kicked him out. And there was no evidence that he even did anything wrong. And in the very small window where I was present, the people that ratted on him were actually more a problem than he was. Like it was so weird. Like I've done bad things in theaters. I've done things that I'm very ashamed of. Sneaking in food, sneaking into movies, movie hopping, among other things. But I've never ruined the experience for people around me at a level that I experience on like an every time basis now. Where
people have gotten worse.
They've got it. I don't think it's necessarily that people have gotten worse. I think parents have gotten worse. That you don't teach your kids what they can and can't do. Today at work, kids came in. It's a hot day. I get it. We got AC. That's awesome. And they just left their skateboards on the middle of the floor. And they were the only ones in the store, so I didn't say anything. And then when someone else showed up, I went, "Hey, guys, you got to pick up your skateboards." And they're like, "Oh, okay." They didn't make a big deal about it, but they just like literally didn't know that that's not something that you can do. Like in the same way that people, they bring food in, they'll just leave it on like a shelf or something. Like, you can't do that, like that's not how things work. And it's crazy. It's like, I don't necessarily want the theater going experience to die, but I think it should 100% become a special occasion. If you have to raise the ticket price more, so be it. If it's only like repertory theaters, I'm okay with that. If it's only in 3D to prevent people from going for budget reasons, that's fine too. maybe have screens just for, like, one of the concepts that I had a couple years ago was actually, and this is kind of implicated in major screens. They have like a, if you're under 7 rule, you can't see an R-rated movie past 6 p.m. or whatever it is. I want to step past that. And if you're under 13, you have to pay like a $3 surcharge to see a PG-13 movie at any time of the day.
No, that's way too harsh.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
Usually the people that cause issue are the ones in like the 11 to 19 range.
To charge that's straight up discrimination to assume that because of someone's age they're going to cause trouble, so you got to charge them more. No, that's bullshit. I'm not going to side with that.
How about for R-rated?
Well, you have to have a guardian with you anyway, so
I don't know. I would love a surcharge like that. Make it the same fee as 3D. You want to see the movie? Make sure that they're worth it. Are they going to make a problem? Like it, and like the real issue too is when I saw Marvel Civil War, which is one of my worst theater going experiences to date.
All like the that, stuff we review, you just have the worst ones, man.
I don't think I'm alone on this.
Feels so bad for you, man.
I mean,
wow.
I'm lucky that I have an outlet to talk about these bad experiences, but I would assume, especially because I'm not alone in these screenings, that a lot of people across the country have very similar problems, especially in urban areas. That this isn't like, oh man, I'm so unlucky. This is, we're all really fucking unlucky. What's the problem? And the people that hate Netflix, these people at con, these hissing, booing fucking assholes, don't understand that they're just as much of a problem as these mouth breathers that I have to be forced to see these blockbusters with. Like, the blockbuster is going to die, not because they're overblown and becoming sterilized because they're not cool anymore. It's because the people that want to see them are just the worst people to see them with.
You know, if for your sake, if you ever do come out here and visit, I hope that we go see a movie. It happens to be at a draft house, and that you happen to be sitting next to somebody that is talking and just being that annoying little shit, and that you get the satisfaction of you get the satisfaction of just raising that card and letting someone else take care of it.
It would be nice.
It would be nice.
Because
totally.
See, this is my problem too. I don't like making a fuss. I don't like making a fuss about things. And so if I'm in a screen and I'm having issues like these, the people on the phones, the people yelling at the screen, the people doing this, people doing that, I'm not going to step out of my $20 movie, go to the lobby, tell the usher, especially because I know the procedure already. They're like, okay, well, we'll give them a warning, and then you can come out again and tell us one more time, and then maybe we'll tell them to leave.
Yeah, that's basically what we got, except we don't even have to leave.
You don't
have
to
write it down on a card and say where it is.
So I'm not going to step out of my theater, walk over all these people, leave, very obviously, come back and then leave again, miss potentially like 5 to 10 minutes of my movie, God knows at what moment, just to potentially get rid of one problem. Like, I'm still going to have a tarnished experience. I'm still going to remember how bad they made it. I'm still going to complain to people. The only way to go around that is if it were to never happen, which is becoming more and more impossible, which is very, very sad. Like, the reason why Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and YouTube Red and all these other streaming services, Filmstruck, are going to take off is because you can literally avoid that possibility. Like, it is an impossibility. The only thing that can happen is like something that you're currently dealing with, where you have a power outage. Like, that is the worst case scenario. You forgot to pay your internet bill. Like, no one's going to be banging on your door in the middle of your movie going, shut the fuck up, turn it down. Like, the likelihood of that is slim to none. Like, in your own domicile, when you're somewhere where everything is by your own rules, when you pay rent in where you're watching the movie, it is the perfect experience. Like, and it's only going to get better as home entertainment options, including Dolby Atmos, which are already possible at home, and 4K HDR becomes more normalized. Like, the better internet gets, the better the quality's going to be, and when we get to 8K, it's literally going to look better than the screens we're currently watching movies on.
See, I mean, I still think nothing tops that communal experience, and the biggest problem is that you just get the people that are inconsiderate there and just ruin it for you, not the people that want to be there watching a movie in that environment and enjoying it.
But here's the thing: I'm going to most of these pre-open. I'm going Thursdays. I'm arguably I'm going with people that want to see the movie.
You should be with the people that want to be there and not the people that ruin it for other people.
That's what I'm saying, though. I'm arguably going with the people that want to see it as much as I do. They're going
Mm-hmm.
before opening day. They're going at a weird time. They're seeing it in 3D, and yet they don't care. Like, that's the issue. That's the problem with opening weekend and the blockbuster mentality of the first weekend matters, the second one kind of does too. 3 weekends out the gate, who gives a shit? You know? And I've said it before, I'll say it again, and this news item is, this isn't my bad experience. I haven't been to the theater since I saw Guardians, but yeah, like it makes me not want to go to the movies anymore. Like I don't have a problem renting something on Vudu and watching it at home or doing Netflix or YouTube. Like with my recliner, with my TV the way it's set up, the fact that I can, it happens very rarely, but pause and go to the bathroom and not miss anything, or if I want a snack, I don't have to pay $8, or the fact that no one's going to be kicking my chair behind me or taking their phone out, the things that I can very easily avoid because it's not possible, make it just peaceful. It reminds me, you don't have to spend money right now. Like, if anything, it's going to help the economy. Like, you don't have to pollute the environment by driving to the theater. You don't have to do this and that. You're not taking up space in the theater. They're not wasting that extra energy. Like, who cares about the
I
box
wish
office
that
numbers?
you had the luxuries that I have. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm not anti, watching stuff from home either. I mean, for pretty much almost all the stuff we reviewed on Dead to Cinema, for the most part anyway.
Yeah.
Like for the past year and a half, I've been watching that stuff on my laptop, and like that doesn't necessarily matter when I got a good pair of headphones on and I just turn off the lights in my place, like, and the only sorts of light is a screen. I'm invested enough in just whatever it is that I'm watching, if it's good. So, in some ways, like, it doesn't really matter how, I'm sure I've said this before, it doesn't necessarily matter how you consume it, or how it's delivered to you, but, when you have, I still think the ideal way is a theater, and when you have someone that's not going to ruin that for you, then, when everyone is just there to enjoy it, there is something more satisfying about that. I mean, there's something satisfying about walking out of the theater after you've experienced something where you're just kind of detoxing from what it is that you just saw because you were immersed in it, And I've had those times though where, like, hey, someone in just a regular theater has ruined those experiences for me, and you don't walk out feeling like you just like you were just immersed in something and you're just exiting it. No, you walk out pissed off of the very thing you were just thinking about the whole time because you couldn't fucking pay attention to the movie because some asshole was just ruining your time and it was making you think about whatever the fuck they were doing for 2 hours, and it was the worst thing in the world at that point,
It's like movies are an
It's a
international
shame.
form of escapism. And when you find someone, especially in this case for Brandon Vesmar, when you find someone that you think you like and you ask them out on a date, which takes a lot of balls, and you ask, hey, do you
Yeah.
want to go see a movie with me? And they say yes, and you get to the theater, and then you find out within 30 minutes of sitting down with them that they're the worst person on the planet. Nothing else matters. Like, you've lost your escapism. Your ticket to paradise is ruined. Like, you don't want to go back after that point. To the point
Just
where,
in general, when you're on a date, it's also just, I think anyway, it's a good rule of putting your phone away the whole time.
yeah, but
Like,
just
to me, it's like, no, I'm gonna keep that shit off. Like, I don't want to be tempted to use it at all. Otherwise, I'm just not interested in being with this person.
I have to imagine this guy, anytime in the future that he ever thinks about Guardians of the Galaxy, especially the second film, especially if he sees it, he's going to remember this moment without a doubt because of the way that it's blown up nationwide. And the small claims court suit that he started, that he's never going to be able to enjoy the film. It's going to always be tarnished for him in the way that maybe not Civil War,
Or
but
he
I
might just get a better experience later on. down the line,
hopefully.
and he'll be grateful for that.
But I'm like, because I'm not. It might be different because both, the experiences that I've had recently between Guardians of the Galaxy and Power Rangers, neither of those are like amazing films anyway. So it's not like, oh my god, whatever. But if I had an experience like that for Batman versus Superman, we'll use a film that is even worse than those two examples. If I had a bad experience for that, which I almost did, I probably would have went fucking like serial killer status. Like, not kill the people around me, but just terms of like rage, like mad, like standing up in my chair telling people to shut the fuck up. Like, next level insanity. Like something like that probably would have happened. Like
Jeez,
I'm
man.
not passionate about a lot of things, but when it comes to things that I am passionate about, if you're gonna break my balls, if you're gonna
Yeah.
ruin that for me, I there's no redeeming qualities for you. You're just a bad person. But moving on, uh, we're talking about like the internet possibly, or not us, but people being afraid for the last decade that the internet is ruining the movies or could possibly kill them. Um, it's literally kind of been doing that. Over the past couple of years, there's been several huge hacks, most notably Sony and Yahoo. And in recent years, Hollywood is becoming more and more targeted. In December of this past year, matter of fact, Netflix's servers were ransacked for several TV shows. Right after that, UTA was sent a ransom for their agency's secrets. And now, this past week, Disney is being extorted for one of the future films that hackers have obtained. It might be Pirates of the Caribbean 5. It might be Cars 3. It could be something else. They're not. No one's really saying. In all these situations, the FBI recommends paying the ransom since most hackers want less than $80,000. But Netflix didn't comply this December. Matter of fact, they assumed it was a gag, that it wasn't real. So this hacking entity, the Dark Overlord, they actually released what they stole. They took, among other things, the upcoming season of Orange is the New Black, and they put it out on the Pirate Bay and mirrored it on other torrenting sites. So for the past
Hmm.
month or so, you've been able to watch all of season 5 of Orange is the New Black, all 10 episodes, and it's still not available now. They didn't do like a interview thing that Sony did and go, "Oh, let's just make it available on the internet now," blah, like whatever.
Yeah.
Netflix was they didn't even, it didn't seem like they even minded. They didn't try to cover it up. They didn't try to get rid of that torrent. Well, I don't know. I didn't search for it. They, didn't try to cover the news item. They didn't try to take themselves out of the equation. They literally did nothing about it. They didn't pay the ransom. They didn't go in back and forth. Like the Dark Overlord literally waited like 3 or 4 months for some kind of correspondence, and they got nothing. What's funny here is Amazon servers aren't the problem. They're not weak. Almost everyone uses AWS. They're like the industry standard for server farms. And the studios, Netflix or Sony, aren't either, but rather the law firms and publicity houses that are given access to these files or early access to the content are. They don't have the huge firewalls and the security advisors and all these things that come equipped when you are international entertainment or just tech conglomerate. And so
Also, partly why at the end of the year it's mainly screeners that are pirated.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
individuals that have screeners that post them on the internet, and they happen right around December, generally speaking. And
Hmm.
so this actually happened, like I said, about a week or two ago at UTA, one of the world's biggest talent agencies. But they were really smart, and they luckily shut down all of their devices before the malware could spread. But other targets haven't been so wise. Most notably, like I said, Sony. They got hacked a couple years ago over the Korean scandal involving the interview. A couple years before that, when they got DDoSed for PlayStation servers, and then several years ago in 2011, when all of PlayStation's network was actually down for about a week. Millions of people's credit card information, including mine, were taken off the servers, and they made up for it. And Sony since then has had a pretty good track record. They're really great with their consumers. They gave me identity protection for, I still have it, matter of fact. They've been keeping track of me just to make sure that no one tried to steal my identity, which is something they didn't have to do, but they luckily they did. But this
Hmm.
isn't just Sony and UTA. Notably, in Sundance this year, Wi-Fi and also box office was attacked, which allowed people not to get tickets for screenings. Like I said, the interview fiasco, and it's going to escalate from here. And the question I have to ask, because I read most of this on THR, they have a great write-up. I recommended it on Pocket. I could tweet out the link for this. Is this how China gains the upper hand? Like, are they possibly behind this? What if Wanda is the group responsible for these hacking exploits?
I mean, doesn't that hurt their exhibition?
Or
Well,
not,
or
no, not
I
necessarily.
guess at least in America, but well, plus doesn't China have like a big piracy problem, or they've are they really solving that now? Because they have to be, I guess, because their film economy is going up. But
I would have to imagine, just in terms of piracy, that they're one of the top channels in the world. If a movie comes out and you go on a torrenting site and you look for it, 9 times out of 10, one of the early copies, especially cam copies, is going to have some kind of Asian calligraphy. It's going to be Cantonese or Mandarin. You're going to see that on the screen. It could be Malaysian. And maybe, their security's not as good or whatever, but usually that's the case. Sometimes it's Russian, and then even past that, they have like DVD rips, especially that have hard-coded Chinese subtitles. Like, that's just the way it happens. Like, that's the norm. But I'm more interested in, like, literally, think about it. North Korea has totally pushed the blame off the interview. They're like, that wasn't us. We're not that serious about shit, guys. Like, come on, please. What if, especially because China has a big history, a storied rivalry with Japan, that they were like, fuck Sony. And, like, every time Sony's ever been hacked, it was just Chinese people. Like, I don't know where I'm going here. It's just the thread, the news item necessarily is, like, where does it go from here? Like, how long? It wasn't just Orange is the New Black they got hacked. They also took, like, seasons of Mom and other sitcoms. Maybe they have some Netflix movies. But Disney, one of the companies with the most money on the planet, who could easily pay this $80,000 or whatever, went, no, we don't give a shit. Leak it if you're going to leak it. It's not going to hurt us. We're going to make our money. Trust us. We're going to make our money. That stupid Johnny Depp movie, everyone's going to see it. Don't worry.
I don't know. Is it tracking that well? I mean, everyone assumed that the fucking Alice in Wonderland sequel was going to be big, and that different. One fucking failed hard.
I don't know why that first movie did well. It was
I have not seen anything on Pirates.
I've seen the trailer.
I'm sure it's going to do better than King Arthur, but as far as marketing
it's going to do much better.
About the same.
It's going to do much better. I've seen the trailer on TV. I've seen it in theaters. I've seen standees. I've seen posters. I've seen YouTube ads. I've seen a good amount of marketing material. I mean, it's got Will Turner reprising his role. It's got Johnny Depp again. It's got an international cast.
It did well at Show West or CinemaCon. So I keep calling it that.
Paul McCartney has a cameo. Like, it's got a lot of people involved. It's gonna be a big movie. It's gonna do well. It's gonna be number one that opening weekend for sure. After that, it's anyone's guess. But I would assume, I think Wonder Woman's tracking like 80 or 70. That Pirates is probably gonna internationally, who's to say, but domestically, it's probably gonna be like 40. Okay, it's gonna be enough of a hit that's not gonna matter. But internationally, considering Johnny Depp's like one of the most bankable international stars even still, and this franchise has been a big hit.
Even though Yoga Hosers didn't make that much.
Well, he also wasn't billed, like he was a secret almost.
He was no, for Yoga Hosers, yeah. No, for Tusk, yeah. But Yoga Hosers, no, he was marketed in that.
That movie had a very small release, and it's so fucking weird that's like not Johnny Depp. Like, that's... I don't think people necessarily see Johnny Depp for that kind of thing. Like Ed Wood type stuff, like they want to see him looking sexy doing stupid stuff. They want pirates.
Still
they want
Alice in Wonderland. Johnny Depp and Kevin Smith have a working relationship in 2 films now,
and their friends are and their daughters are friends.
Like that, that's crazy. Well, I mean I guess that makes sense through that, but it's like, wow, they've done 2 movies together now.
And Moose Jaws is going to come. Don't forget about that one.
Yep,
he's definitely Moose Jaws.
Its way.
It's on its way. It's probably
awesome
come out next year.
He could show up in Clerks 3 for a bit. Much like Ben Affleck in Clerks 2, I don't know.
No, I don't see it. I think that would be too big. That would hurt that budget, unless he did for free. But
it'd be a cameo. It'd be a one-day thing.
Well, since Clerks isn't part of the Clerks isn't part of the True North trilogy, they're separate. It's not View Askew. I don't see it happening. If it did happen,
yeah.
It's possible.
Like Kevin Smith does what he wants at this point. I don't know. It's like, does he have View Askew in him still? Because I would love to see that world again. But
I truly hope
he's just kind of doing his own thing now, man.
I truly hope Hit Somebody is either a part of True North or View Askew. It could go either way, to be honest. It's probably going to be True North.
When the hell is that coming?
Who the fuck knows, man?
Still waiting to hear if that's AMC or not.
It's got to be AMC.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Still waiting to figure it out.
It has to be a event miniseries. It's probably going to be 4 one-hour episodes. It's got to be. And I hope Sean William Scott stars in it. But that's not happening. Too bad. Fucking life sucks. Moving from bad tech to good tech, Google I/O was the big event that happened this week, and they showed off a lot of things. Here's a brief summary, and it's not even brief because it's such a big event. I personally know like 5 people that were there, half of which actually work for Google. But YouTube is co-watching. Wait, what the fuck? Here we go. Yeah. Most of the stuff that I'm going to be covering is VR related, and that's why it's not in the actual VR section, because it is headline territory. Because some of the smaller things that happened were Google just expanding its smart home presence. Like Alexa before it, Google Home is beginning to get supported by smart home appliances, so dishwashers and laundry machines, lights and stuff like that. You're going to be able to say, okay, Google, like, but then you have to say a stupid keyword that's like LG smart appliance. When are my dishes done? It'll go, 30 minutes, Steve, or something like that. But it's going to just keep going and going from there. But even cooler in terms of Google Home is they're also going to allow, and this is kind of piggybacking off of last week's Android Echo Look. Not Android, Amazon Alexa, Echo Look. Google Home is going to get free calling to any U.S. number. It's also going to allow free Spotify streaming. It's going to add HBO support, which is going to be awesome. You're going to go, okay, Google, show me the latest Game of Thrones episode. It's going to turn on your Google Cast or like Google Home casted TV and cast it right to your TV. You don't have to take your remote out, open up that HBO app, go to Game of Thrones, find the episode, press play. It's going to just streamline that whole experience. The real thing is, over the last year, since the last I/O, when they said there were 30 million Google Cast devices in the wild, they've added the total now to 50, which means over the past year, over 20 million Google Cast devices have shipped. So that includes TVs and Chromecast dongles themselves, but also Google Home and whatever else it entails, mostly Android TVs. It's kind of crazy to think about, like, because those real cool Vizio sets that had it built in, those don't exist anymore. They're killing those. I don't know where else they're going, but 50 million is a crazy install base. There's one in my house. I don't personally own one. I still kind of need a Google Cast device. And I don't even know where these numbers come from, because technically speaking, both my PS3 and PS4 on a very plain Jane way support Google Cast, but only within the YouTube app. So I don't know if they calculate that into their numbers or if this is more dedicated devices. But really exciting. But like I said, that's the small potatoes. Also, small potatoes area, YouTube TV has added BBC America, AMC, IFC, and Sundance, as well as Univision to their lowest tier offering this week, meaning that YouTube TV is an even better get. Somehow they're adding 360-degree videos to the living room, too. Don't ask me how that's happening. But here's the big things.
We'll just use the arrows, I guess, to navigate through that.
It'd be weird. You probably use your Google Cast device and you tilt it in the direction you want the video to go. But even so, it would be weird. 360 is meant to be done in VR, and only VR. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. But here's the actual big things, and they're mostly VR related or AR. So Google showed off a standalone. They didn't show it off because they don't exist yet. But they did have demo units that the press was not able to take pictures of. But they showed off the next step in in Google Daydream. This is a VR platform that's existed for roughly a year now. It is only supported by a couple of phones, most notably the Google Pixel. Samsung S7, S8 are getting support in the very near future. There's like an LG phone that does it. I think the Moto Z does it. But for the most part, it's only the Pixel. But more devices are going to get support. But the real thing that they showed off wasn't Daydream, despite it getting way more experiences, but rather the next step in what the Daydream initiative is. And so they're actually going to launch 2 standalone VR headsets later this year. These don't require a phone at all. It's going to be completely by itself. It's a headset and a headset alone. There's no tether. It's not plugged into a computer or a PS4. This is just a headset that has its own battery that you charge. It's the first of its kind to market, unless someone beats them, which I highly doubt. And there's going to be, the first 2 are going to be made by HTC, of HTC Vive fame, the biggest VR headset on the planet, and Lenovo, who make Motorola. These are going to be out by year's end, and they're going to be using WorldSense, aka the AR tracking technology that Tango utilizes, for inside-out tracking. They're said to be in the mid-100 price range, so it's probably going to be right around the same price as HTC Vive or Oculus Rift. And with similar specs to boot, which is crazy to think about because these don't require a top-of-the-line computer or top-of-the-line video game machine. What's interesting here is some of the updates that are coming to Daydream are going to be right out of the box for this, which include the standard Android notifications, a Chrome web browser. You're going to be able to Google Cast your perspective onto your TV. And then even better than that, it's going to allow you to experience this new YouTube idea that is going to be on Daydream first in the coming months and then on these also, which is going to allow voice communication between users across whatever video you're watching, and even the option to sync your video feeds together so you can quote-unquote watch videos together in virtual reality. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. It's available currently, matter of fact, in Oculus Spaces, or Facebook Spaces rather. Also, in the past on Xbox Live on the Xbox 360, you were able to start an Xbox party and then watch Netflix together, and it just synchronized everything for you. So you could literally watch, a movie together, which is something that I don't know why the fuck they got rid of. It seems like they would never want to get rid of that, but hey, I'm not Microsoft. I don't waste money on stupid ideas. But it's really crazy because here's the last little news item on their VR headset. They found a way, and they showed this off, you can watch this on YouTube, to bring high-end renders for games and movies down to mobile VR without really losing any quality. It's called Syrah, so it's based on the Painter, and it's basically a similar concept. It's like, that's from a really close, it looks like shit, but far away, it looks amazing. And so the demoed video is with ILM X Lab, who's working on lots and lots of stuff. They've worked with PlayStation, they've worked with HTC. And they talk through the process in this video of taking the environments they rendered for Rogue One, the actual assets, and porting them over to Daydream through Syrah. And they said, I haven't actually viewed this stuff myself. I see the renders on screen. But it's pretty much capable of doing the highest bar of video polarity on HTC or Oculus within a mobile headset, without this supercomputer, without a smartphone built in. Like, literally, it's just VR and VR alone. And if this is true, if this is actually something that's coming out this Christmas, VR is really going to hit this holiday. PlayStation VR is sure to be a hit. Oculus, undoubtedly. Maybe Samsung Gear VR. Hopefully these Google...
And phones are the easiest way to make it more accessible, too, just as a gateway.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. These Google headsets aren't going to be phones. They're going to be separate from that. There's going to be Google Cardboard.
So the re-rendering is not for the...
Well, maybe they'll be doing that too. But yeah, this is built into these standalone Daydream headsets. That I'm sure that's not going to be the actual name. It's going to be whatever they call it. But yeah, they don't use phones. It's built-in ecosystem. It is made 100% for VR. It's literally like taking my PlayStation VR, except there is no tether to anything else. It just stands by itself. It's 100% wireless. It's enclosed system. It is standalone, which is crazy to think about because when this comes out, it's going to be first to market. And then the market's going to get even more crowded with more and more devices because right around the same time frame is when Windows mixed reality headsets are coming out as well. So there's going to be so many choices now, but this is going to be the first and only headset that doesn't require anything. And so for the people that have been waiting, especially because there's 100+ applications available, including experiences and games on Google Play currently, that are going to be optimized for Daydream, especially these headsets, that it's probably going to be, unless something else happens at E3, the premier VR platform across the board, unless you're looking for a dedicated virtual reality, gaming experience. So really, really exciting. I can't wait for demos to be announced for these. And more importantly, price points. I have a feeling like the HTC one is probably going to want to be cheaper than the Vive. That way they can still force people to buy that. So it's probably going to be $499, and then the Lenovo one might be like $550 or something like that. But yeah, I'm really curious on battery life on these. Just trying one. It's going to, sadly, they're going to be using the same Daydream motion controller, kind of similar to what Gear VR does currently, where it's a singular remote that you hold in your hand that's basically like a Wiimote. So you don't have two hands in your experiences. Like I said, this is not meant for gaming. It doesn't have dedicated aim controllers or like motion controllers. Like this is kind of just like a slideshow, like button press type thing. But even still, you can add those on down the road, you know. But yeah, very, very exciting. And the last little piece of Google news we got from this week is about their new Google Lens app. I'm not too excited about this, but basically it's machine learning AI photo tool. Basically Google Goggles, if you remember that, but just fully implemented, which is going to allow you to do some real-time cool things, such as you're at a record store and you see a concert flyer. You open up your camera, it is able to recognize the venue, the time, the band, show you, like, you can play a song by the band, put it on your Google Calendar, and also buy tickets. Maybe you're looking for a restaurant, you see a marquee, you take a picture, same deal. You can see the menu, you can see Yelp reviews, you can book a reservation, and so on and so forth. Even including, you're at someone's house, you want to access their Wi-Fi, you just scan their Wi-Fi credentials and their password, and it's added to your settings, and you don't actually have to go in there. And like I said, I'm not too... If this is real and it actually works, this is awesome. My problem is, Google Goggles is a real thing that is out there that you can download right now, and it is very hit or miss. The kind of things that it's able to do are translate on the fly for different languages, which I've done to, you know, weak effect. Also, you can... that's like the big thing it can do. But like what it's supposed to do, that Amazon can also do, but also to not the best effect, is if you take a picture of something, it can recognize what it is. So on Amazon, it's like it knows it's this book, it's going to find you that book on sale, which it does pretty well. It's better when you have a barcode. But yeah, Google Goggles is supposed to do the same thing. And they kind of like make fun of this on not this week's episode of Silicon Valley, but last one, where they make this app called Seafood, where you're supposed to take a picture and it knows what it is. And the joke on the show is hot dog or not hot dog, so it only knows what a hot dog is. And then it actually became a real app. So it's just how that show works. Here's the last headline, though, before I take another break. And this is of note because it's going to break right before our VR section. Zenimax, the parent company for Bethesda, among other things, also the people that are still celebrating its $500 million lawsuit against Oculus and Facebook for breaking, you know, just all kinds of rules when it comes to companies and obtaining intellectual properties, is now setting their sights on Samsung and Gear VR. The powered by Oculus devices are being targeted in the suit that claims Samsung knowingly profited from technology developed at Zenimax, copyright infringement, trade secret misappropriation, unfair competition, and unjust enrichment. They have a very strong case against the Gear VR, most notably because Gear VR was developed with Oculus while Zenimax's suit was already out there. And the question I'm posing with this news item is, has ZeniMax, through these trials, created a new version of the patent wars that were all over the place in the wake of the iPhone success? Like, do you remember that stuff? Or did you not follow this kind of news at that time?
Not really, no.
Basically, in 2007, because of the success of the iPhone, everyone between like Palm, Motorola, Google even, especially Samsung, like any tech giant was going, we patented the touchscreen. We created this. We did that. We have a patent for a way to interface with a screen without a stylus. And so many people, especially Samsung, were so caught up in this money hunt that they weren't actually developing anything, and they were just trying to get money. And it was a big, big problem. Samsung recently buried the hatchet with Apple. It was like a year or two ago, and they decided, like, we won't sue each other anymore for like 4 years. We'll just actually make our own devices, okay? Stop doing it. But everyone was doing it. It was like literally across the board. It was nonstop for like 4 years. It was very, very crazy. And just in the time span of about 4 months now, ZeniMax has done this twice. They already won. They won $500 million. Sure, John Carmack is doing like a countersuit. Facebook wants a retrial. But Samsung is definitely going to lose this if it goes to court. There's no way they're going to win. If Oculus is at blame, and you made your headset that is literally branded as powered by Oculus, that uses technology that John Carmack invented while at Zenimax. That's a fact. There's no way they're going to win. And the problem here, despite them supposedly having Doom and Fallout VR in development, probably also Skyrim VR, I would imagine, they don't have a VR headset. As far as I'm aware, they don't have a VR headset in development. They're a video game publisher, and not a big one at that. They have some IPs that sell a lot of copies, but they also have a very small fan base. Outside of the people that love Bethesda, their biggest production house, there's more people that hate them, me included. I hate Bethesda games. I think they're shit. I got no feelings for them. And after this Zenimax stuff, their parent company, now I hate them. I think they're like the worst thing on the planet when it comes to VR. Because the only way to slow VR's progression, and especially its adoption, is by making multi-million-dollar lawsuits against the people that are literally pioneering virtual reality. This is someone kind of like, and it's true in any medium, matter of fact, there are people out there that own bullshit songs that you've never heard of. They own the rights to them. And what they do is they hunt down the rap artists or producers that sample one of their beats for 5 seconds or whatever and loop it, and then sue them to hell because they own the original copy, going, you're infringing on our copyright. We actually own this song. Now we own your song and all the rights to all the money that you have.
Like patent trolls and
exactly
such, kind of.
Patent trolls. This is exactly what it is. And so Zenimax doesn't own a patent. They don't have a patent for VR. Their thing here is, we bought the company that John Carmack used to own, id Software, and while he was at id, he developed VR technologies. Before he left id, he joined Oculus, and while he was at Oculus, he took the code that he coded himself at id that we purchased, didn't create, and used it to enhance virtual reality. And now we want to take your money that you worked really hard for, because we've done nothing with our money besides make games that go on sale literally 2 weeks after they come out. Prey, Zenimax's most recent game, just came out on the 5th of May. It's already $40 at Target. That's a quick drop. Yeah, I hate them. They have another game coming out June 6th. Fucking hate them. It's not even a real game. It's Elder Scrolls Online, and it's an expansion of that. That's a game no one plays. Some people don't play it, matter of fact, that you don't even need a subscription fee in an MMO, which is embarrassing, because every MMO has a subscription fee. Yeah, I hope that it's close to impossible for Zenimax to go out of business, but I sincerely hope that there's a judge out there that gets this case and just throws it out and goes, you already got a lot of money. You sued Oculus successfully. You got even more money. And now you want to cry about it and try to take money from someone that is doing things instead of just making coding stuff. Like, I don't know. It's going to piss me off. I'm going to follow this court case even after the show ends and tweet about it for sure.
Just fucking, yeah.
But given
business, man.
Given that Palmer Luckey kind of broke out of its shell, he's on Twitter again. A couple of weeks ago, he was in Shibuya. He went to some kind of convention for cosplaying, and he actually cosplayed as like Quiet, this scantily clad assistant or like sidekick in Metal Gear Solid 5. Not a fan of the game, not a fan of the franchise. But he went around Japan in a bikini with his hairy body and goatee. And he did this interview that I read that was translated from Japanese where he's talking about a lot of things. And most notably that when he was at Facebook, he wasn't allowed to, like, say, like, Casual Friday or whatever, show up and cosplay. That he kind of lost his identity. That he was no longer working out of his garage with people that he knows and was instead at this really huge campus where everyone is very serious all the time. And he didn't really say anything because I'm sure he signed a non-disclosure agreement not only when Oculus was acquired by Facebook, but also definitely when he was severed from the company. And we're probably never going to know what that story is until he publishes a memoir, which I would have to assume is going to be in the next 6 months. And it just sounded, I mean, it wasn't his real voice. This was translated not so well from a Japanese article. So this was his words put in Japanese and then put back into English. And just in terms of what I read, it sounded like he's a human again. You remember this is a 23-year-old dude that has way too much money, even if he just lost a lot of it in this lawsuit. And like it sounded, at least in what I read, that he's actually happy, that he's doing things, he's not upset, he's not worried about his future, that he can engineer
Yeah.
whatever he wants to now. He's not stuck in within virtual reality. The world is his oyster. He's young enough that he could have like 2 or 3 more inventions that go places that could potentially surpass what he did at Oculus. And I don't know. I really hope that this lawsuit, just like the Facebook one, as much as I hope that they fail, that Oculus folds, that they fucking go down shit creek without a paddle because they tried to exclusivize virtual reality before it was even mainstream.
Well, we'll see, Matt.
We will see, but I really hope Zenimax burns in hell and all of their chief personnel. Like, truly. Please, if you love any of their intellectual properties, if you love Elder Scrolls or Prey,
I mean, yeah,
or
totally
Fallout,
is. Total
please don't
bullshit
buy the
and just
games.
corporate jealousy at this point.
Go
But,
and
yeah.
pirate them, steal copies from Redbox, download them off the internet illegally, start boycotting. Like I hope they burn in hell. Like I seriously do. Like, this is patent trolling without a patent. This is, you stole their ideas, but they weren't our ideas. They were your ideas, but you worked for our company at the time you came up with them. Fucking asinine. So here's the second ad break. What do you want to pitch them, Steve?
Well, you know me. Usually I'm drinking some sort of alcohol during this show. Tonight is different. You know, I've after having just a chaotic week, I've just decided to have some nice herbal tea. So I am sipping on some Tavana Peach Tranquility, which, you know, is a nice mix of like peach and pineapple and with some chamomile tea in there, and I think a little bit of lemon, but yeah, just really nice sweet flavor, really soothing. You know, it's relaxing me right now, and I feel like I really need this right now.
So I had coffee today
So
at
it's
Jack in the
nice.
Box. I had some Coca-Cola there as well.
Yeah, I am 4 weeks caffeine free, by the way. So
Well, you're drinking tea right now.
yeah, but it's non-caffeinated.
I don't believe, like, it's
It's an
kind of
herbal
like
tea.
it's kind of like when they say decaf coffee. Like, how do you really take, or like non-alcoholic
No.
or
Well,
beer?
decaf
you know?
is a misnomer because there technically is still caffeine in there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
This is caffeine free though. It's
how?
not decaf tea. It's caffeine free.
I almost don't believe it. In the same way, like I said, non-alcoholic beer. Like, O'Doul's has alcohol in it
No.
still. It's
No,
like
chamomile
0.4%.
doesn't have caffeine in it.
Who's to say? Maybe you should sue them. If you're up all night, you'll know. You will know. If you've
I'm
liked her,
relaxing right now. It's the opposite.
if you liked our
It
voices
might
so
be a
far,
bit too soon because I'm actually feeling a bit sleepy too.
well, the show's almost over. If you liked our show so far, we do a lot of content, and like I said, it's only going to be there and not here in the near future. Our main show, or titular show, Tell Our Reviews, is our spoiler-free takes without recaps for new releases, sometimes games, music. Usually not, though, just movies. We do all kinds of things, stuff that we've done recently, especially in the Netflix Amazon sphere. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. The Handmaiden, Camera Ferson. We've done all of Adam Sandler's Netflix stuff. Sandy Wexler, Ridiculous Six, The Do-Over. I'm sure the Meyerowitz Chronicles for lots of different reasons later this year. We did a lot of stuff last award season. Elle, La La Land, Green Room, Swiss Army Man. In terms of superhero movies, lots and lots of them, especially on Death to Cinema, which is our other show. But Logan, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, if you can think of it, chances are either we've talked about it in passing or we've done an episode for it. So you can find those. There's a nice dedicated section on our YouTube page, youtube.com/dollar-review, not S. Death to the Cinema is our other show, though, with a better name. And it's our semi-topical list of shame show, so anytime we can tie into something that's happening, we try, especially holidays. And so recently we've started a Hong Kong thing. Next week we have Wong Kar-wai. It might be Happy Together. It might be In the Mood for Love. I don't know yet. But this past week we recorded Infernal Affairs. That's already listening, or you're going to be able to listen to that very, very soon. 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. Not Ukrainian. The Romanian film that won Palme d'Or a couple of years back. Well, a decade ago now, 7 years. The Try, which is a movie that no one's seen, but hey, we got retweeted by the director twice on that one, so that's cool. We did,
Nice.
we did,
And it's on Netflix.
it's on Netflix. We did Howard the Duck,
Evidently with captions and subtitles.
yeah, Howard the Duck, The Conversation, All the President's Men, Biodome, Wings, Time Crimes. We've done a lot. That's almost at 90 episodes. That's 90 weeks. I am pretty confident that we've either seen something that you think is horrible, that you've heard is horrible, that you can't believe we haven't seen until we did the episode, or you have no clue what it is. One of those or all of those are definite possibilities. And let me tell you, more times than not, when it's supposed to be bad, it's actually better than something that's supposed to be good. It's kind of true.
Hashtag Catwoman.
That's definitely Catwoman and Biodome.
Yeah.
Biodome for me.
Biodome is not good.
For me, Biodome. For me.
I know for you, but I'm sorry.
For how not good Howard the Duck
join
was.
you on that train.
For how bad or how not good Howard the Duck was.
Howard the Duck was better than Biodome.
No.
Yeah.
Has better moments than Biodome, but Biodome is a much more. It's just a more coherent movie. If Biodome had the budget,
if coherence is what makes something good, then sure.
If Biodome had the budget Howard the Duck had, oh man, it'd be like a 4-hour movie.
That sounds wonderful, Brian.
It kind of does sound wonderful, to be honest. Imagine for like.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Imagine for like a full hour in that movie they played Safety Dance. I'd pay it. I'd buy that for $1.
What's the really negative rating? Bankrupt? Is that what it should be?
No, there's no negative rating.
If we really hate a movie, just say this movie's fucking bankrupt.
Maybe. I don't believe in that. Like, I've like. Even the horrible straight to sci-fi stuff I've seen, which Sharknado is still probably going to happen on cinema eventually.
Really?
Probably. I feel obligated. There's 4 of them. And the producer follows us on Twitter, and he DM'd me a long time ago. He was like, hey, if you ever want me on the show, just let me know. I was like, yeah, we'll probably do Sharknado in the future. So we could probably get him for that episode. That'd be pretty fucking cool.
All right.
But no, like, in my life, out of all the bad things I've seen, I don't think I've ever seen something where I was just like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, that is very rare, to be honest. I say that more often when something's really good.
I mean, I try to find redemptive value in everything, but just every once in a while, just there's something that just gets to me. And, like, I try to, like, I think even in, like, my most negative reviews, like, I try to find, like, at least something nice to say about it, but, yeah, I don't know. What was something I really hated? Actually, no, I can't even remember one nice thing I had to say about the Do-Over. I know you did, but I just couldn't.
I listened to some of Tyler's episode on Sandy Wexler. They really hated it. I was like, I was shocked. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, I get why Geeky Glasses doesn't like it. I co-hosted or was on a podcast of his. I don't know where that podcast went. I gotta find it. When we did the Killing Joke, I thought maybe he got killed. I don't know. But I've talked with him before. He's passionate. His name is Geeky Glasses TV. So I can understand why he didn't like the movie. But the way that Tyler was talking about, I was like, dude, why don't you like the movie? Like, I was almost offended, especially because he liked the Do-Over. And I went, okay,
like, really? Yeah. And yet I like Ridiculous Six instead.
Different strokes.
Not by that much. It's Headless Harvey Keitel that does it for me.
But Sandy Wexler is still my favorite Netflix Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah,
not by a big margin, but it was my favorite one.
It's probably the most consistent one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Most coherent.
Moving on to some film and streaming before we close out with a little bit more VR stuff. No, fuck that. We're going to do VR because, hey, we just did VR. It doesn't make sense. Let me back up.
What do you got?
There's only 3 things, so we'll just do it real fast.
Hit me, Brian.
In terms of the film and streaming stuff, there's some good stuff, though.
Hey, just go with whatever's interesting at this point. Like, if it's...
I always try to.
All right.
So, yeah, here we go. Here's some of the VR stuff that happened this week that isn't Google-related. The main item, and this could have been a headline, but hey, whatever, is that social VR hubs are becoming an industry standard now, slowly but surely. Between YouTube's new Daydream interface that I kind of stumbled through earlier, where you can watch YouTube videos with your friends, Facebook Spaces, which I mentioned very shortly, and then the recently announced Steam VR Home, which is in beta, they're just creating ways where users are able to start having a virtual environment to hang/launch games and experiences instead of like a series of menus. Currently on PlayStation, you literally see the same interface you see on a 2D screen. There's no three-dimensionality to it. There's no periphery. It's not 360. It's just a way to go through menus. Google Daydream, Google Cardboard, currently, before this update happens, if you want to switch between applications, you literally have to take your phone out, use your fingers on it, put it back in, and Gear VR is the same way. Outside of Steam, which has the best so far and is only going to get better with this home beta, they've been fairly shitty, to put it bluntly, but I think there's going to be a shift there. I really hope, and I've talked about this before, maybe not on the show, but I really hope that PlayStation follows this trend and just enhances it by bringing back PlayStation Home at E3 this year. PlayStation Home
really seems like the one format that's the perfect fit for it.
PlayStation Home was this failed social MMO that happened on PS3. It was free. Essentially, it was Second Life on PlayStation. There was no goal. The goal was the people that you meet on the internet you can hang out with in a virtual realm. You can watch like TV and play games and buy stuff and have a house. And it didn't go anywhere. They pulled the plug on it. And so they have the infrastructure. They have a way to do this. And if they were able, and they are able, but if they find a way with their 1 million plus users on PSVR to get this off the ground again in the near future, it would be really exciting, because in between the games or experiences or whatever that I do in VR, there is no sense of, oh, I'm here right now. Like, it feels, oh, I'm waiting to get there, and oh, there it is. Whereas with these norms that are happening as VR develops, not just as an entertainment medium, but also a platform for experiences. And I was tweeting about this earlier because when the digital editor of Variety, he published this op-ed called this is why I think I feel virtual reality will never become a mainstream entertainment venue or something like that. So I read his piece, and it's thought out, and he has good resources and whatever. But basically the crux of his argument was millennials love using their phones while watching movies and TV. VR experiences in games might be engrossing, but you also feel fatigue wearing the headset. Watching a movie in VR is even harder. When I do an actual VR experience, I don't know where to look, and I feel cheated, like I have to watch it more than once to get the full picture. So like that. And I didn't even comment on any of that when I tweeted at him, and said basically what I said is, you're short-sighted, you're missing the fact that virtual reality isn't about the exclusive games and experiences that are available within the medium, right, but rather it's a venue for a completely different realm. When you take these social experiences, and I
just by the nature of its name, that's exactly what it is.
And I stress to him, like I have on our show, and basically anyone I know that has VR, that you should check out Werewolf Within, the Ubisoft game, strictly for the fact, not because of the game is whatever, but that it kind of reinvents what is possible when it comes to digital communication. That it makes a social environment that feels actualized, and communicating through it is the best that I've ever had in any digital realm, whether that be texting or instant messaging, with the exception of, like Skype. If you're like face-to-face web conferencing, that's a different story altogether. But in any of the other digital realms that your face or voice aren't involved in, it is bar none. Like it really is one of the more special virtual reality experiences I've had besides VR porn. And I've been doing a lot more of that recently. I found, like, okay, so you remember, like, back in the day I would talk about kink VR? I was like, oh, it's free, go to the website, you'll get some stuff. That wasn't meant for everyone. Yeah. Like, it's kink, like they had some weird BDSM stuff. They had like pegging, and they had girl guy, guy guy, girl girl. They had lots of different stuff going on there. And now there's a pay window. It's not free. What I found out, Pornhub has an app that you can't get from an app store. You have to go to Pornhub.com on your phone, and it will say, "Oh, do you want to get the app?" And they send you a link for an APK. You download it. Every single video is able to be watched through cardboard, and there is no loss of resolution. It is the same resolution. It looks awesome. Obviously, not every video is in 3D or with head tracking, clearly. But just seeing porn on a screen that big right in front of your face is awesome. And then they actually do have VR content. They have 3D content. They have 180 and 360 content. Like, they have a lot of it. If you pay for a subscription, you can download that content, so then you have the best frame rate and resolution possible. And the fact that this is free and all their videos are free and very little of them have ads, I went, holy shit, how did I know about this? Like, you need it. But outside of pornography, if you want like a transcendent experience, like it's still, for me right now, because I haven't done any social MMO stuff, it's where it was within. And I don't know if he read the tweets. I hope he did. I hope he rethinks his notion, because yeah, VR is not going to take off as an entertainment, mainstream venue for entertainment for like a decade. I just don't see that. Like, VR games are very, very different from traditional two-dimensional games. VR experiences.
I mean, gaming just seems like the most. I mean, to me, that's the most appealing spot for it right now.
Currently,
it sounds better as something that's interactive than, you know. Even though, like, yeah, there are VR shorts. Or what was it? Who summed it up perfectly? That, you know, they. It was Zenimax, I think. I can't remember what the quote was, but you know what I'm getting at.
It's not
right?
cinema, it's VR. Yeah.
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 Basically, that just like, it's not fair to. Well, in the case of cinema, it's not fair to hold it by that standard.
He actually he premiered his Carne and Arena at Con this week, and the world is going fucking crazy on Twitter. Oh, it's so fucking good, the best VR thing. Someone's finally got it. And I'm looking. I'm not reading the reviews. I'm just seeing these blurbs on Twitter, and I'm almost. Whatever the opposite of tempted is to not read it, because I don't know if these people were sucking his dick because it's Chivo and Inoritsu doing
so
VR.
You're very tempted to not read it.
No, yeah. I got no interest in reading these reviews.
It's not the opposite of tempted. It's just you're.
I'm indifferent.
I don't know, you're polarized from it.
No, I'm just indifferent. Like, I see that it's out there. I know it's out there. I highly doubt if I read any of these reviews that it's going to say, oh yeah, it's coming this date on this platform for this much money. I highly doubt that. There would be a press release for that. I would read that. That would be on Upload VR. It would go, Inoritsu's VR experience is coming to blah, blah, blah on this date. That would be the headline. I'd be reporting on it right now. Instead, these are people that are just going, oh my god, it's so good. It's the best thing in VR. It's the reason they get it. And I'm like, I doubt it. It's like 6 minutes long. You'll probably never be able to rewatch it. It's a one and done type of situation. There's nothing to learn from it. And I'm curious. You know, I do want to see what one of our premier filmmakers, international filmmakers especially, has done in a virtual reality setting. But the experiences aren't the reason why I come back. I mean, the experiences I have, but quote-unquote VR experiences don't sell VR for me. I don't think they'll sell it for anyone. They can be cool, especially when it comes to nonfiction, which this is to an extent. But like documentarian
it's not
footage,
like there's replay value, really.
Exactly. Well, even VR games don't really have replay value. I'm interested in the idea that, and this is something that's already happening. I'll skip ahead a little bit. Android users, a little bit later this year, that have the MLB at Bat app, which is available for I think it's like $5 a game. I don't remember the price point because I have it for free. Matter of fact, all T-Mobile members on T-Mobile Tuesday it was about a month ago when the MLB season started, got MLB Premium for free, which includes a full subscription to MLB at Bat, where you can watch every game away or home, or just do live tracking, all kinds of great stuff. It's a really good app. I have it both on my PlayStation and on my phone. But it's going to be getting a VR app soon, and this is going to be both on Cardboard and Daydream. So the way it's going to work is basically footage is going to be in 2D of games, live. But to the left and to the right of the screen, because it is, 360, it's all around you, there's going to be stats, a box score, a 3D strike zone. There's going to be, I would assume, like a tweet a Twitter deck. Like, you're going to be able to watch a timeline. And this is by a premier sports association that already has a venue for digital distribution for their games with the subscription model that are fully embracing virtual reality and all it has to offer. Sadly,
They just need to get the cameras in there now.
exactly. Sadly, this is not going to be VR content. It's not going to be 360 content. It is just 2D.
But it's a step.
They're promising VR
I mean,
content.
they're establishing it right now.
Yeah, they're promising VR content later this year. As of right now, the only VR stuff that you can watch is kind of like behind the scenes, exclusive type stuff. But as long as you're a subscriber, as long as you're a subscriber to this app, you're gonna have access to this. I'm definitely gonna check it out because I actually have it. So it's very, very exciting. And so this is also what I was pointing the Variety editor towards, like his argument for millennials wanting to text and watch their movies at the same time because fuck them, they got no manners. You could literally in VR, it's very possible, just someone has to do it, it hasn't been done yet. You could have your movie or TV show right in front of you. To the left of you, just look that way, you have your text messages. To the right, you have your Facebook. Above you, you have like the time of day and the weather. Below you, like, I don't know, some porn. You know, like anything is possible. They just have to create it. Someone has to code this. It has to be implemented. There has to be some kind of application for it, and it has to get enough notoriety that people download it. Once that becomes a thing, when someone, instead of bringing you to their house and goes, hey, do you want to be Batman, or do you want to shoot some zombies, or you want to do this, or do you want to see this new Inuyasha movie? Instead of that, if they went, you want to see what it's like to watch baseball in a way that you've never done it before, and it makes it feel like you're even better than the game, then yeah, you can go, holy fucking shit, I love baseball. I'm not watching it on Facebook and Twitter anymore. I'm going to buy a VR headset. I'm going to watch it this way. This is the best way I've ever watched baseball. As soon as that becomes a success, you can do that for basketball, you can do that for football, and basketball and football have already done VR broadcasts of their games. So as long as that becomes a thing, if this app takes off, which it already has taken off, and if rather the user base actually adopts this kind of technology into their viewership, this is going to be the kind of thing that pushes it. Because virtual reality isn't a next step in entertainment, it's a next step in human evolution. The idea, my main crux in the tweets that I sent were, VR is going to be a success not because of how it can change the way we experience things, but it's going to allow us to experience things by ourselves, and yet we feel like we're surrounded by people. You're going to be able to go to the movies in virtual reality and sit with people that aren't assholes. And if they are assholes, mute them, kick them out of the lobby, report them, send them hate speech. You know, you could do anything you want in the comfort of your own house. And not necessarily because, hey, I don't want to leave my home, but rather, I'd rather, you know, not be subjected to someone in New York, in Times Square trying to run me over and injure 13 other people, or someone pulling a knife on me at the movies, or shooting me at the movies, or being in this or that, or just people talking. When it's in virtual reality, you're going to be able to shape your literal reality from a virtual point of view. And I truly believe in just the kind of experiences I've had between Werewolf Within and Sports Bar VR and VR porn, that it is going to truly change the way communication occurs, especially in a digital interface. That it's going to not reinvent the wheel, but it's going to be a flying car. Like it's going to be unparalleled to any other form of communication, not entertainment. VR isn't the next step in entertainment. It could be.
See, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get there yet, because I'm very curious to see how it influences just like basic necessities. Like, you know, for me, unless it's for work, maybe I don't see myself embracing it that soon. Because like as far as entertainment, I really, you know, I've tried multiple times, but I'm really just not that immersed by it. You know. Like, I don't, you know, I think at this point now I'm just not going to look for that anymore. It's not like I don't enjoy it, but I mean, just like these hyperbolic experiences of like, oh, it's like another world. It's like, I never feel that.
Well, Farpoint
like,
is
there's
literally
always this awareness that I got something on my head and I'm still in the real world. But...
No, Farpoint is literally another world. When you get off that spaceship and you're on that Jupiter planet and you're carrying this gun in your hands and you're walking through this landscape, like some of the issues that I had in my first impression that I'm talking about on Dollar Reviews, I fixed those. I went around the internet, looked at what some people were saying, talked to other people in person. I was standing still in place while trying to trick my body into walking. I was talking like, oh, I need like an Omni treadmill. I wish I had some kind of way to supplement that kind of walking interaction into the game. What I started doing is if I'm walking in the game, I'm kind of just like trotting in place. If I'm jogging, I'm going a little bit faster. If I'm sprinting, I'm like jogging, like running in place, where it feels like it's actually happening. Like I've played it in the presence of two people now. A coworker and a friend of the show, Luis, came over. Luis actually played it. We went back and forth on the fourth mission of the game. He'd never played it before. I put the thing on him. I showed him the controller. I took his hands. I pointed to where the buttons were. He picked it up. He was playing sections of the games that I had never played, and he was doing it just as well as I was because he knows how first-person shooters work. He's aware of what a gun can do, and it's just very easy to pick up this controller and do it. The advice that I gave him was, I know it's going to seem stupid. He saw me already do it. I know it looks stupid, but just kind of like pace in place. Walk in place. Like pretend like you're on a treadmill. And it truly just like transplants you to this planet. Like you feel like you're fucking there way more than just like standing in place, or even worse than that. I've read people on the internet that are sitting in a chair pretending to play this game. Like, dude, what the fuck's your problem? Why'd you buy this $800 setup if you aren't even going to take the time to literally stand up? But that's on them. That's their money. They're not in my living room doing it. So hey, power to them. But yeah, I'm with you. In most games and most experiences, no, I don't feel like I'm there. It doesn't matter which one it is. But yeah, in Werewolves Within, in Farpoint, it does a good enough job in those situations, either based on the verbal communication in the case of werewolves, or in Farpoint because of the implementation of the PS Aim controller, where it feels and appears that the gun in front of your eyes is the one in your hands, that it truly takes the immersion to another level. Like the only way that it could be better is if you had like a sub-pack backpack / chest plate that vibrates at frequencies for like haptic feedback, or if you had olfactory like tubes in your room that would play certain scents, or better than that, if you had like gusts of wind that interacted with the same on the screen. And these are the kind of things that are going to be happening very, very soon in an area near you. We talked about on the show before for location-based VR. There's The Void, which is a big one in Utah that did the Ghostbusters thing in New York. There was also another one coming out I can't remember the name of, that's open in LA, which is pretty much The Void. They're like going to be friendly competitors. But Fox is entering the same realm too. They have a location-based VR multiplayer game based on Alien coming this year. It's going to take place in a 2,000 square foot environment with prop guns, haptic feedback, wireless VR, atmosphere effects, competition, all the things that I'm hoping that I can do at home. And this is the third leg in Fox Next, which was just founded recently. We've mentioned them before when it comes to VR development. And now they have three different sections of their company. There's Fox Next VR for development, Fox Next Games, and then there's Fox Next Location. And this situation right here, the Aliens one, is going to merge all of those together. The idea here is that they're going to basically do a roadshow treatment. This is going to be a little bit after the movie, maybe in time for the home video release, or maybe they do another VR experience. And essentially, it's like, oh, I really like that movie, or maybe I'm interested in the movie, at least I like the characters. I want to play a competitive game with these guns in this environment, in like a state-of-the-art VR facility, get scared, have fun. It's, the new version of the theme park. It's pretty exciting. I don't know what else Fox is cooking up. I'm sure maybe for Planet of the Apes they can do a similar thing, especially since most of those assets are digital, just like in the case of Alien. Like if Weta can do it. I'm
just amazed that this is not even out yet. It should have been more of a tie-in. But
yeah, I mean, this is they. I'd rather have a delayed thing than a forced thing, especially because it's intellectual property. It's not necessarily a promotional tool. But yeah, I'm with you. It would have been cooler if this was already available and then this box office was blown way the fuck up. But still, really, really cool. Like it would be cool if clearly they're gonna do this for Avatar.
For sure.
Like for fucking sure.
Talking
about,
it'd be stupid not to.
Talking about Ridley Scott though, just so we can end the show really quickly. TNT is giving him carte blanche. He's going to get full authorship on TNT with a block of nightly sci-fi programming where you can do whatever you want. You can do hour-long TV, short-form TV, whatever Scott Free wants to do. I doubt they can do Alien.
The man. He has crazy energy.
I guess. Like, what's crazy is
he's working.
This is TNT. This is Time Warner, not FX. Why they would let him skip out on this, why they wouldn't want to try to tie him down within their family to make like an Alien TV show is beyond me.
No, he's worked with pretty much every single studio, so he's got good relations.
Of course, but
yeah.
This is sci-fi. You know, this seems like a very missed opportunity, but still very, very exciting.
He's working with Warner Brothers on Blade Runner, so
I just hope that this actually goes somewhere. Unlike the M. Night block that TNT was doing with Tales from the Crypt and shit, that died. That went out to the pasture. That just died. And so I hope this isn't that. Probably won't be. This one is way, way, way bigger. Jordan Peele is not doing Warner Brothers' Akira. That is not happening. That was more than a rumor. It was a possibility. Instead, he's going to work with Warner Brothers. He's going to do Time Warner instead. He's going to HBO. He's adapting a novel called Lovecraft Country, rather, which came out this past year. And it's going to be in similar territory as Get Out and bring like horror and the black experience to TV. What's really juicy here is Monkey Paw's production company is going to produce it with Bad Robot, and they're hoping it's an anthology series. So JJ somehow met Jordan Peele, and they're working on this together at Time Warner with a huge, huge budget. This is going to come in the post-Game of Thrones era, and this is kind of crazy to think about. Like I know nothing about this book. I read a little synopsis on the couple of I think it was a Deadline where I read this one, and like the way to pitch this is Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams working on a TV show for HBO, and that's all you need. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that he'd want to do TV when he's from TV instead of doing a huge movie. I think most people in his shoes would have been like, yeah, of course. But then again, he also has a first look deal with Universal now, so he couldn't have done that Hero picture in the first place. But
well, he can do whatever he wants at this point, man. That no one's forcing him to go bigger, so he's probably just going with whatever he's comfortable with.
That's pretty cool. I'm comfortable with a couple of things this week. Two that shouldn't even be on the show, but I just want to talk about them real briefly. Supernatural, in its upcoming 13th season, is going to have a totally animated episode, and because that's the CW, aka Warner Brothers, it's going to star none other than Scooby Doo and his gang. So the Winchester brothers and Scooby Doo and Shaggy and Fred and Velma and Daphne are going to solve a mystery together for an hour of TV. I haven't seen Supernatural in about 10 years. I'm watching this episode. For sure.
I mean, I'm just surprised that Supernatural is still around.
Right? It's kind of scary to think about.
It
has become
13 seasons.
Yeah,
wow, it's never gone away.
It's become the longest running CW show, which is weird to think about. It was before this Smallville, which I saw for the entire run, but it now has 2 seasons more than Smallville did, and that's Superman. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
I know some big time Supernatural fans too. I'm sure they like fanboyed.
Oh yeah, no. In high school, there were people that were fanatics.
But this is like people know. The final thing that I got, we could talk about Netflix doing a Dark Crystal prequel to Jim Henson Company and Louis Leterrier. That's pretty cool. They're doing 10 episodes of that. Whatever. We could talk about the Witcher franchise getting a TV show on Netflix, most known for their video games at CD Projekt Red, and then the book sales itself, which is going to be like their own version of Game of Thrones on Netflix. We could also talk about American Idol going to ABC. But the real thing I want to close the show with is rather Universal is making a Mamma Mia sequel. It's called Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. And I don't care who it's written directed by. It's the guy behind Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. I don't care. It's coming July 18th, 2018. It's going to star Meryl Streep, I would assume. Probably Pierce Brosnan. Maybe Amanda Seyfried. I really hope they get her.
Wait. July 18th, 2018.
Mamma Mia 2. It's coming next year. I'm going.
That's
going
exactly
Dark Knight.
10 years later.
Dark Knight opening weekend. Well, Mamma Mia didn't come. Was Dark Knight 08?
Yeah, 08, and it was July 18th.
Awesome. They could have a 10.
So exactly.
They get married in the movie.
They went up against each other.
Have the 10th anniversary Like Party. Okay, easy peasy. Boom. I really like that Mamma Mia
Yeah,
movie.
Affleck should work on that Batman movie real quick and get that out next year.
Mamma Mia.
Just fast track that.
Here we go again. Awesome title. The only problem I got with this movie, they already did like all the good ABBA songs. I don't know where they're going to go from there. Might have to make
I'm
new
not
ones. I'm going. I really hope they do a double feature, and the first one has sing along on the bottom.
I'm not going.
I'm going.
That's all I got.
I'm going crazy over this one. I want to see this because here we go again.
Yeah, that and a lot of puns are going to be made in the reviews for that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And they're probably going to be mostly negative, but
Probably.
I don't know. We'll find out next summer when I see it by myself, you know.
Or if you get someone to go with you, right?
Huh?
Or if you're dating someone, you get them to go with you and they're not texting. Oh, come on.
Dun, 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 dun. I've been cheated by you since I don't know when. It's why I made up my mind and I got a
I got work
million.
in like less than 2 hours. Well, about 2.5 hours.
Look at me
actually.
now. Fine.
And he doesn't care.
Thanks for listening to Dollar Views. Episode, was it 2 cents actually? Episode 96. Like I said, there's only 4 more of these left. It's almost over.
Yeah.
We're going to see you out with some ABBA. If you found us on accident, that's awesome. We'd love a like, a favorite, a subscribe, anything. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell them that this one is over. There's an encore. How could I resist you? We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, Tumblr, everything you can think of, especially Google Play Music and iTunes. Leave a review. Do anything. You want to be like Evelyn? Patreon support. That'd be awesome. I'm just going to sing along for the rest of the episode.
All right.
Have a good
I'm signing off.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care.